What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 5GV. Chapter 116 The Four Seas Strategy begins. News from the New World. There is no need to fight anymore. The moment Mahad and Kisara started to get serious, Dulin immediately realized this. If they really want to let them fight freely, the entire island of gods will be demolished. If it is just to test the strength, then it is completely enough now. The strength shown by Mahad at this time is completely amazing enough. Facing Kisara, who is at full strength, she is not at a disadvantage. This is already very scary. You must know that he has not accepted the fire seed bestowed by Dulin at this time, let alone awakening the power emperor that belongs to him. If he also accepts the advanced spark and awakens his own power, then Bullet's number 1 position, which he has just acquired, may soon be lost. Dulin is very satisfied with this. So facing Kisara, who was pouting and looking very unwilling, Dulin said, "We will be companions from now on, we can learn from each other, but don't go too far." 840. Why? The white dragon girl was a little sullen, as if she didn't like Mahad very much. But Mahad replied respectfully, "Yes, God." So this discussion ended here, but the strength shown by Mahad still shocked everyone. Strong is an exaggeration, not weaker than Miss Kisara at all. Yoroj smacked his lips again and again, lamenting that his ranking would probably go backwards soon. Enel clenched his fists. Powerful guys follow one after another. If he wants to keep up with God, he has to become stronger. Fighting spirit is burning. Later, in the temple. After granting Mahad the common kindling, Dulin curiously asked Mahad about magic. Although the magical degree of devil fruit is not necessarily lower than magic, but the ability of devil fruit is single, while magic is multiple and complex. Mahad's answer is this: magic is the power that the elves have summed up from their respective abilities over a long period of time. In the final analysis, it is the technology of converting magic power or spirit power into various forms and properties. Shape and nature. Dulin raised his eyebrows. Should it be said that it is a copycat mobile game? The sense of sight came all of a sudden. Shape change and nature transformation, isn't this stuff Hokage's ninjutsu? However, I seem to be unable to cast magic, meaning that I have no magic power. Dulin felt a little regretful. Next, Dulin asked Mahad to introduce the magic he knew. Then Dulin heard a lot of familiar names from him, all of which were magic cards or trap cards from Yu-Gi-Oh! While most of them are auxiliary types of magic, there are a few quite remarkable ones. So Dulin realized that Mahad and Kisara are different, they are not a simple warrior. The pure combat power may not be able to close the qualitative gap, but in terms of the means he has, he really won too much. Mahad, I have something for you to do. After sighing a little, Dulin got down to business. The so-called business of course refers to the affairs of the Illuminati, and there is no one more suitable to be a priest of the Illuminati than Mahad. Professional is the counterpart. Sure enough, after Dulin finished speaking, Mahad nodded without hesitation. "Leave this matter to me, God. If it is about serving God, I still have some confidence. I will do my best to spread the glory of God and let people in the world know who they should fear and believe in." Great. Dulin is very satisfied. This is called professionalism, and it is trustworthy as soon as you speak. Then I will assign some of my staff to you, so you can start preparing. What to prepare? Of course it is preparing to establish a formal Illuminati. The current Illuminati is still a mess, that is, there are several priests working in different places. What Dulin hopes to see is a cohesive organization like the Christianity. Next, Mahad will start to set up the center of the Illuminati. But before that, the next day, Morgans and Frame joined forces to meet Dulin. God. Morgans cut to the chase, and said directly, "The island you asked me to find has already been found. Each one is a deserted island located in a remote location in the Four Seas. The area is quite large, but there are no products, so there are no human settlements at all. My side has already selected people." Quote. Then Frame said, "Be ready to go anytime." Morgans added, "Once they arrive in the world, my subordinates will be responsible for leading them to their destination." Very good. Dulin recognized the working speed of his subordinates very much. Then, let's start to act. Can't wait to open the treasure chest. Yes. The two bowed their heads at the same time. Then, quote. Morgan suddenly spoke out again, and a message has spread in the New World in the past 2 days. Oh, Dulin said with great interest, "Let me guess, is it related to me and Wano Kuni? Your eyes are as bright as a torch." Morgans immediately praised, "It should be spread from the Beast's pirates, saying that you and Bullet killed Kazuki Oden and captured Wano Kuni." Dulin felt a little funny. As expected of the man known as the resourceful General Kaido. Even though he won't be returning to Wano Kuni anytime soon, he hasn't forgotten to make trouble for himself. God. Morgans reminded, in this case, our actions should be exposed. Although ordinary guys are not to be feared, there are also very tricky guys. For example, Whitebeard pirates. Kazuki Oden used to be the second captain of the Whitebeard pirates. He is Whitebeard's sworn brother. He may take action after he knows the news. Whitebeard. Now after Roger's death, that man is almost recognized by the world as the strongest. No one can remain calm when facing him. However, Dulin smiled and said, "Whitebeard is indeed a very difficult man, but don't worry too much about it." Morgans was confused. God, it's Whitebeard. The strongest in the world. The only remaining legendary pirate. A monster among monsters. It should be said that it is worthy of being a god. After a brief moment of consternation, Morgans marveled again. Dulin really didn't care much. Whitebeard loves all his family members equally. Of course he is willing to risk his life for his 5.8 brother Odin. However, when more children are threatened, he will start to consider whether it is worthwhile. Dulin thought so. In fact, I still have some concerns. Dulin said, they report any changes as soon as possible. Really don't care much about Whitebeard. The stormy sea is coming. Or ask for flowers. Ask for a monthly ticket. Ask for an evaluation ticket. Worthy of being a god. Odin, dead, he will probably need a little support. The man's anger instantly shook the entire sea. Yes. A bullet might not be enough if Whitebeard does decide to go to Wano Kuni. Keep an eye on the Whitebeard pirates. Morgans bowed in admiration. Otherwise, why did Kaido sit in Wano Kuni for more than 20 years in the original work? At this time, Shin Shiuan. Chapter 117 Attacking Whitebeard Pirates. Mahad to the rescue. A certain word was circulating in the new world. Someone entered Wano Kuni, which was closed to the outside world, defeated the powerful samurai guarding the country, and took the country. Although it would not be said that everyone knows about it, some well-informed guys already know about it. Wang Guo, this is the sea area of the Monster Pan Hall. Mom, that kid Kaido spread the news. The tall and burly woman sat lazily on her throne, gently stroking her raised belly. Others don't know, but my old lady knows it very well. He was entrenched in Wano Kuni before. This time, he was defeated and driven away to seize the territory. He wanted revenge because he was unwilling. Mom, this guy is still like a kid after so many years. The intelligence system of the Charlotte family is very good, and they are clear about many secret news on the sea. This of course includes the arrival of the Beast's pirates in Wano Kuni. Then mother, shall we ignore this matter? The queen of all nations, the monster of the new world, the next head of Charlotte Linlin known as Big Mom, her eldest son, Pei Ross, has a long tongue that twists strangely as he speaks. That kid, since you can to get rid of Kaido, the strength must be extraordinary. Mom, of course, Kaido wants to drive away tigers and wolves, and the old 26 mother doesn't want to make him a knife. Although she covets the blood of the Lunaria family, Charlotte Linlin has always been very shrewd. She knows what to do is cost-effective, and what to do is not cost-effective. However, it may not be hopeless. Pello Ross, find a way to contact that kid Kaido, he might need a little help. We are all old friends, why can't we cooperate on the premise of satisfying our respective interests? At the same moment, Mariajoy, Pengu City. The five elders meet again. Has that kid actually entered New World? And got involved with that bullet guy? What's the relationship between them? Who knows about this kind of thing? Even that guy Moria is involved, he even became that kid's subordinate. It's a good thing Moria didn't agree to Shichibukai's invitation before, otherwise he would be in trouble now. Then what to do next? Wait and see for the time being, at least, isn't that guy Whitebeard already unable to sit still? Whitebeard really couldn't sit still. God. On the third day after receiving the news from New World, Morgans came to Dulin in a hurry, the Whitebeard pirates are dispatched. The latest news is that the Moby DK is moving in the direction of Wano Kuni. We will reach the waters near Wano Kuni in 3 days at the earliest. Dulin shook his head lightly, it seems that he wants to confirm the situation of Kazuki Odin. Kaido didn't know what happened to Kazuki Odin, but that didn't stop him from spreading fake news. For example, Kazuki Odin has been eliminated. Although Whitebeard does not fully believe it, it is not incomprehensible to want to confirm the current situation of sworn brothers. God. Morgans is a bit new, with a sharp beak opening and closing slightly. If the opponent is Whitebeard, then even Bullet probably has no chance of winning. Although Bullet is very strong, but the opponent is that Whitebeard, there is already a big gap in strength. Not to mention that the pirates under Bullet are just a lot of people, they are actually a bunch of useless wood, and the Whitebeard pirates under the command of Whitebeard are the strongest pirates recognized by the world. Without interference, Wano Kuni will certainly not be able to hold on. Don't worry, just ask someone to support Bullet. Moria should not have gone far, so let him go back temporarily. Besides, Dulin was very calm, without frowning, he called softly, Mahad. God, I am here. In the void, Mahad's body slowly knelt down on one knee, and when his body completely emerged, he was already kneeling in front of Dulin. He's always around. After all, he is already a god-tier officer serving God. You go to New World and help Bullet fight off the Whitebeard pirates. Dulin said. Although he is a new employee, in Dulin's opinion, Mahade is even more reliable than Kisara. Not just because of ability, but more because of character. The calm Mahad is of course more trustworthy than the bluffing Kisara. Yes, Mahad nodded without hesitation, even if he doesn't know how to get to New World yet, who are Bullet and Whitebeard. But this is the oracle of the gods, he just needs to obey. Oh, Mr. Mahad, Morgan said happily, if it's him, then there should be no problem. This man's strength has been tested, and he is definitely unusually strong. More importantly, he can use a lot of strange magic, which is very powerful. Morgans. Dulin looked to Morgans, giving Mahad a permanent pointer to go to Wano Kuni. Morgans nodded yes, but he was a little curious. Wano Kuni is a long way from Li Tiankong Sanctuary, almost at the other end of the world. How will Mr. Mahad get there? The answer, of course, is to fly over. Summoning. Cursed Dragon. With Mahad chanting the spell, a magic circle composed of unknown runes emerged on the ground. Then, the yellow flying dragon emerged in the magic circle. The size of the flying dragon is not too big, but it is enough for Mahad to stand lightly behind it. So, God, I'm off. After bowing respectfully to Dulin, Mahad manipulated the cursed dragon and flapped its wings soaring into the sky. 597 inches. Oh. It's amazing magic. Morgans looked at the scene and wondered, is this even possible? Dulin was also a little surprised. Although he already knew that Mahad would use the summoning technique to summon the cursed dragon, he still wondered why Mahad, who had ridden the cursed dragon, did not become a dragon magic knight. But in any case, with Mahad's help, there should be no problem with Bullet, right? New World, Wano Kuni, the capital of flowers, a new castle tower. Whitebeard pirates. Bullet laughed. Whitebeard, I've been looking forward to fighting him. Don't just focus on your own fighting spirit. On the side, Moria snorted coldly. God's request is that the Whitebeard pirates are not allowed to land on Wano Kuni. Are you teaching me a lesson? Bullet's eyes darkened. HMPH, just a reminder. Moria sneered indifferently, but God said that a very powerful guy would come to support us. I don't know what kind of existence it is. Of course, it will be severe. Bullet's eyes are shining. Moria was speechless. This pervert is a fighting madman. But, the battle with the Whitebeard pirates. It is indeed exciting. They didn't make them wait too long. A powerful aura suddenly came from the sky above the capital. People are coming. Chapter 118 Whitebeard strikes. The sublime power of Hano. Bullet and Moria meet God-sent helpers. Bullet immediately frowned. The figure of the visitor can only be described as thin or even thin. Although a simple body shape cannot truly reflect the strength of an individual, a person who is too thin may not have too much strength. But Bullet certainly didn't question whether the man in black robe in front of him was powerful. On the contrary, he was simply curious why such a thin man could bring him a strange sense of danger. Yes, the moment he saw the man in front of him, Bullet was convinced of his strength. As he expected, this is a strong and exaggerated guy. My name is Mahad, and I am here by God's will to help you repel the enemy. Black's demon, Mage, calmly introduced himself, and the exaggerated figures of Bullet and Moria did not make him waver in the slightest. After all, although the people in this world are grotesque enough, they are still far behind the card elves. Very well, I am Bullet. Bullet grinned. I think we should get to know each other better. Mahad paused. You mean? Hey. On this day, a plain on the outskirts of the capital of flowers became the bottom of a basin. The violent vibration made the people living in the capital of flowers shiver in their houses, fearing that the next moment of destruction would come. Time came to the second day, to the east of Wano Kuni, the top of the huge wall that guards the country. 3 figures stood here quietly, looking down at the boundless ocean below. Should be coming soon. Moria is carrying huge scissors, and there is a hint of excitement in her tone, but Bullet, are you sure they're coming directly from here? The Whitebeard pirates have been to Wano Kuni, and they know they can go directly inland through the diving port here. Bullet crossed his arms and said indifferently, besides, if you come straight, it's almost in this direction. Getting into the hinterland of Wano Kuni is not an easy task, especially when you may be blocked. So of course, going through a relatively safe diving port is the best choice. Then, it's time to contact God. Mahad, who was the smallest in stature, took out a phone bug. God said he wanted to see this battle with his own eyes. Bullet glanced. Image phone bug. Coming. Moria suddenly pointed into the distance. At the end of the sea, a large ship was approaching rapidly. Far away on the other side of the world is the Sky Sanctuary, the Island of Gods, and the temple. Dulin leaned lazily on his throne. In front, Morgans has already set up the live broadcast equipment, and the light is projected from the eyes of the phone bug, forming an image on White's curtain. Oh, it seems to have begun. Morgans chuckled under his breath. The angle of view of the image is gradually rising, and the big ship in the distance becomes clearer. The strongest man in the world. Enel whispered to himself. God, we strike. Bullet's loud laughter came from the phone, and then a majestic figure jumped off the high cliff on the screen. Wano Kuni this way. Mahad has once again summoned the cursed dragon, riding on it and flying into the sky. On the other hand, Moria grew a pair of black wings on her back, and also flew into the sky. It is a strange product produced after the ability of the shadow fruit is combined with the flame. As for Bullet, he jumped straight into the ocean. Purple-black's flames spread as he fell, and he stepped on the air and galloped forward. On the deck of the big ship coming quickly. On the mast, the watching pirate shouted, Father! Someone is coming. It's Moria, and Bullet, plus a guy the first don't know. There is no need for him to remind. A man carrying a huge naginata came to the bow. Although the eyes can't see clearly, the color of knowledge can already be clearly felt. The man's complexion was as low as a deep pool. The sad news of sworn brothers made him of course unable to show his smile anymore. They really took over Wano Kuni. Behind Whitebeard, Marco with a pineapple-like hairstyle had a low voice, and an uncontrollable look of grief appeared on his face. Well, everything is true. 708. Ha 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 ha, Whitebeard. Rampant laughter came from the distant sky, and Bullet stepped on the air and approached with a strong wind. Go back. You are no longer welcome in this country. Bang. Hash plus hash equals. Whitebeard obviously didn't make any movements, but the air screamed in an instant. The sea surface around here began to surge even more, and the waves continued to rise and fall. The whole sea was shaking. Vibrating fruit, what a terrifying ability. Bullet stopped and exclaimed loudly, but it's okay, Lousy is not weak. Ocean, surrender to me. The purple-black flames flowed down, covering the surface of the sea in an instant. The originally turbulent sea began to fluctuate more violently. In the blink of an eye, the huge wave rolled up hundreds of meters high, rolling towards the big ship with a destructive attitude. Hey, what is this? Marco couldn't help but widen his eyes. Many of the pirates of the Whitebeard pirates on the deck even screamed on the spot. It's almost like the end of the world. But luckily, they still have their daddy. Brat, the angry roar of the strongest man in the world. Both fists bombarded both sides at the same time. White's waves wrapped around his fist. The air shattered in an instant, and dense cracks spread in all directions. At the same time, terrifying shock waves spread towards the two sides, and the huge waves that poured in were torn apart in an instant. However, the pirates of the Whitebeard pirates didn't even have time to turn the surprise on their faces into smiles, and the originally violent tsunami gathered again. The momentum continues unabated. Bullet grinned. But it's just seawater. There's nothing more after breaking a wave. I have the power to surpass all capable people, and the sea must be controlled by me. Daddy, Marco has already realized the critical situation at this time. Whitebeard looked grave, too. The Whitebeard pirates are different from Roger's pirate ship, there are not many capable people on board. So, since the seawater cannot be stopped, defeat the capable person himself. Whitebeard gripped the naginata tightly. The blade had already turned pitch black in an instant, and brilliant lightning wrapped around it, followed by White's shock wave. Brat, Whitebeard swung his knife. The space seemed to be cut off in an instant, and an incomparably brilliant black slash wave roared away. It's a slash wave, it's a conqueror's shockwave, it's a shock fruit shockwave. Ha, mono how, ha, frontal attack. Wrong idea, Whitebeard. Not only did Bullet not panic at all, but he laughed loudly, Mahad, I leave it to you. Without him needing to speak, the cursed dragon had already spread its wings and blocked in front of him, and on the back of the flying dragon, Mahad had already raised his magic wand. Holy shield mirror power. The huge spherical shield has been formed in an instant. Then the next second, the slash wave bombarded it. Laugh. The spherical shield was twisting and deforming violently, Mahad's expression became solemn, and the hand holding the wand was trembling slightly. However, the barrier was not broken after all. Boom. The slash wave shattered with a bang, and then turned into countless rays of light that shot back. What? On the Moby DK, Whitebeard was stunned. Island of Gods. Ha, how interesting. Dulin couldn't help laughing out loud. See the sublime power of the Knights of Hano now. Whitebeard. Chapter 119 Anticlimactic. Whitebeard's powerlessness. Light from all over the sky flew towards the Moby DK like a torrential rain. Holy Shield Mirror Power has the ability to nullify the enemy's attack, and then return all the attack power to the entire enemy. But of course, Mahad, who has already materialized, cannot make the mirror force have absolute defense like in the game. This magic cannot rebound attacks that exceed its defense limit. But fortunately, the blow from Whitebeard did not exceed its limit at this time. So the blow was bounced back and turned into a counterattack against the entire Whitebeard pirates. Marco screamed. Danger. He felt unparalleled danger. Every ray of light that fell made him feel like a light on his back, and he felt the powerful power contained in it. Whitebeard's expression changed as well. Damn it. The two fists hammered forward at the same time, and the huge shock wave tore through the space again, colliding with the pouring light. Boom. In the huge explosion, the bow of the Moby DK was directly blown up, and the whole big ship was going backwards. However, this is only to stop the falling light, and the surrounding earth-shattering tsunami has already fallen. Boom. Huge waves hit the sea surface, disturbing the whole sea. 530 Moby DK has been completely engulfed in it. However, the big ship did not sink because of this. The sea is shaking and the air is breaking. In the seawater that turned into water droplets and splashed around, the shadow of a large ship emerged. Whitebeard looked up at the sky with serious eyes, looking up at the two figures. Dad, something is wrong. The man holding two long swords exclaimed. The purple-black flames covering the sea are spreading towards the Moby DK. Hey, Bullet in the sky chuckled. As long as his flame touches the Moby DK, then this battle is over. There was a red light in Whitebeard's eyes, and then his complexion suddenly changed, and he saw a future that he absolutely didn't want to see. Get out of here. The shock wave was launched again, the sea was undulated by the shock waves, and all the flames were directly pushed away. However, this does not affect the monstrous waves coming again. And, at the same time, the wand in Mahad's hand, who was stepping on the cursed dragon's back, aimed at Moby DK again. Diffusion fluctuations. Black sphere condensed on the top of the wand again, and in the next second, it turned into countless black waves and flew towards the Moby DK. Leave it to me, Dad. Marco turned into a big blue bird and flapped his wings, his body spun and the blue flame turned into a circular shield, a mortal thistle. But not enough, this shield is not big enough. Marco blocks some of it, but more waves are heading for the members of the Whitebeard pirates. Like the mirror power, the diffusion wave is also an all-in-one attack. Drink. So Whitebeard could only roar again, hitting the air wave to resist the spreading wave. Then came another wave. Whitebeard gritted his teeth and continued to create shock waves to resist the tsunami. It's time to FK off, Whitebeard. Bullet said condescendingly, you should already understand your powerlessness. Whitebeard's power is unquestionable, but in this sea, he became weak. A-hole, who do you think lousy is? The strongest man in the world roared. Also, where is Odin? Kazuki Odin. Bullet grinned. Of course that trash has returned to the netherworld. It was Lousy who sent that idiot on his way. Boom. Like a thunderclap, the terrifying Dian Wangs roared loudly. But this is of course meaningless to Bullet, even if he is not as good as Whitebeard, but he is not weak enough to be affected by Whitebeard's conquerors. Really? It seems that you want to fight to the end. Bullet grinned. The sea surface where the Moby DK was located instantly sank, and huge waves of hundreds of meters surged around it, rushing towards the big ship. Daddy, Foil Vista said with difficulty, this battle is impossible to fight at all. Many of them, CGDD, will indeed use moonwalk. But more people don't. I'm afraid that the entire ship will be destroyed the first time it takes off to fight, and everyone on board will die by then. But, you can't just go back like this. The tall and strong Diamond Chowzi had tears in his eyes, and his voice was as hard as iron. Odin's hatred, this must not be forgotten. Whitebeard was silent. The tsunami hit. The sea shook and the shock waves roared. The Moby DK was vibrating and whining, as if it might collapse at any moment. It's amazing. God's Island. Dulin, who was watching the live broadcast, sighed sincerely. Under such an absolute disadvantage, to be able to persist for so long, should I say that he is indeed the strongest in the world. However, it's almost there. Not to mention winning, even landing at Wano Kuni is impossible, and Whitebeard should already understand this. Wano Kuni this way. Whitebeard's forehead was bursting with veins. It's half out of anger and half out of going all out. However, all efforts have been made to protect the ship, and it is almost impossible to land on Wano Kuni. Father, retreat. Suddenly, someone broke the silence on the deck. Everyone turned their heads at the same time, wanting to see who dared to risk the world. Then, everyone was stunned. The man was obviously a man, but he was wearing a women's kimono, like an actor. He was weeping bitterly, his face blurred with seawater and tears. Everyone was silent. No one is more qualified than him to ask Dad to retreat. Lord Odin certainly doesn't want to. The man said this, choking up while speaking. I don't want more family members and partners to be threatened because of him. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Whitebeard fell silent. There was a long silence. Then, finally, boys, steer, returning, Whitebeard announced loudly. There were also tears flickering in the corners of his eyes. Sorry Odin. Really, sorry. The strongest man in the world experienced powerlessness. Moby DK began to turn. Are you finally going to retreat? Bullet snorted unhappily. Even this indiscriminate bombardment did nothing to the Whitebeard pirates. Is that guy really a monster comparable to Roger? It feels like it's the same with me or without me. Moria, who came silently, sighed. The distance was too far, and he couldn't get in at all. The whole process is just watching. But don't think that you can retreat so easily. Bullet continued to pursue. Mahad followed suit. The two pursued for tens of nautical miles all the way, and the regiment finally decided to give up. There is no way, it is impossible to rush to the Moby DK and confront the Whitebeard pirates head-on. If the Whitebeard pirates can escape in embarrassment, the strategic goal has been achieved. Chapter 120 Shock the World. Harvest. It was a really good show. Island of the Gods. After the pursuit finally ended, Dulin stretched lazily. I'm afraid Bullet will become famous in the New World this time. Morgan said with a smile, repelling the Whitebeard pirates is not an achievement that can be taken lightly. Certainly. Then he immediately added, if it is bathed in the light of your god, no matter what kind of miracle it is just a matter of course. Dulin couldn't help laughing when he heard this. He picked up the phone bug and gave orders to Mahad. Mahad, don't rush back, stay in Wano Kuni for a while. This is to prevent Whitebeard from suddenly coming back to kill the carbine again. Although the probability is not high, but just in case. Be prepared, right, but in any case, although it may be a bit anticlimactic, this time the incident should be considered as over. Outside of Kaido, no one should question Bullet's dominance over Wano Kuni. However, although the battle is over, the aftermath is still rippling. Is the world about to be shaken again? Dulin thought so. Facts have proved that he was completely right. Not long after the end of the Wano Kuni offshore battle, although this matter was not reported in the newspapers at all, the big shots in the world had already received the news in the first place. Cake Island. What? Charlotte Linlin directly crushed the cake in her hand. That old man Whitebeard was driven back so soon. Yes, Mom. The second son of the family, a tall, slender and strong man, the highest masterpiece of the Charlotte family, Katakuri nodded calmly. Someone has already witnessed the Moby DK in the waters near the Hive Island. It is said that the ship was damaged. The damage is serious. So fast. Charlotte Linlin frowned. She actually didn't think that the Whitebeard pirates could easily break through Wano Kuni from the beginning. Those who are entrenched in that country at this time, are the group of people who easily drive Kaido away, leaving him in despair, and don't even have the idea of immediate revenge. Even if the Whitebeard pirates are stronger than the Beast's pirates, how much can they open? But she didn't expect it to be so fast. Did a fight really break out? How does it feel like the Whitebeard pirates just went to Wano Kuni and then went back? What about the details of the battle? Charlotte Linlin immediately asked, what's going on with Bullet and that kid? Katakuri shook his head. There are no witnesses other than the Whitebeard pirates, and Zahn has no way of knowing. Hateful. Charlotte Linlin cursed secretly. She also has the highest ambition. Now that such a huge force appeared in New World, how could she not be worried? Keep trying to contact the beast's pirates. It's time to add allies. An island in the New World. Did that be the old man in Newgate fail too? Kaido, who was sitting cross-legged on the ground, was drinking. It's not too surprising. He can be easily defeated, but what about that stinky old man Whitebeard? But seeing someone as unlucky as himself, Kaido felt rather happy in his heart. Mr. Kaido, the Charlotte family has been trying to contact us. Jhin said softly. Lin. Kaido hesitated a little, and then said casually, I guess they want to form an alliance with Laozi to attack Wano-kuni. Leave her alone, Wano-kuni belongs to Laozi alone. Laozi has to take it back alone. Pluton hiding in Wano-kuni, he doesn't want to share it with anyone. Wait, Bullet, wait, D brat. Laozi will get stronger and come back like lightning. Mariajoy. Whitebeard was knocked back, and amazingly fast. Looks like it's time to reassess the strength of that kid and Bullet combined. Roger just died, and there's such a troublesome guy out there. What a damn time. Chaos in New World is inevitable. Whitebeard, Charlotte Lin, Kaido, Bullet and that brat, these four forces will probably turn New World upside down after this. The continuously increasing pirate power will definitely make their scale continue to expand. Send someone to infiltrate Wano-kuni immediately, and make sure to find out the situation in that country, especially the situation of Bullet and that brat. Everyone seems to think that Dulin is staying in Wano-kuni at this time and regards it as a base. At this time, Dulin has already left the matter of Wano-kuni behind him, and he is looking forward to other things. West Blue. Westeros Island. The name of this island is rarely heard even in West Blue. Ask for flowers. Even the residents of the nearby islands that are also located in this sea area, most of them also know nothing about this island. Because this island is a desert island. A desert island in the true sense is a large island reef, the entire island is made of rocks, there are hardly any plants, not even fresh water. This is not an island suitable for human survival at all, and the residents of the nearby islands will not come here even if they are digging stones, local stones can already satisfy their needs. Except for the occasional damaged ship, which will be docked here for repairs, almost no one will come to this island. But something unexpected happened this day. 2 ships are approaching. The boat stopped on the coast. 0. A group of people wearing strange white robes got off one of the boats, because there were about 20 or 30 people. They are moving things from the boat to the shore. Then, here we go. On the boat, a group of people dressed in different clothes shouted down, we have another boat here for your use, and we will send people over regularly to deliver supplies. Dulin, who was fishing in the island of the gods, heard the most beautiful music in the world. The people on the boat responded with a smile, then let's go back first, remember to call the bug if you have anything to do. Ask for flowers. Ask for a monthly ticket. Ask for an evaluation ticket. Beg. The white-robed man also had a smile on his face. Although we didn't get along for a long time, we still got along very happily. If you encounter any trouble, you can contact us. If nothing else, we still have some experience in fighting. Enough is enough. Ding ding ding. Among the people in white robes, someone responded loudly, thank you very much. It's time for a good harvest. It's nothing. Since it's the president's friend, it's our friend. Then, someone in the white robe said with a smile, the next step is to build this island. Before that, we need to open up a temporary residence for us to live in. The 2 groups bid farewell. Let's put it that way. The same thing happened almost simultaneously in the other 3 sea areas. Alright, good. In addition, I declare that this island is the domain of my god from today on. Then the ship sets sail. Chapter 121 Flying Thunder God Technique. Immortality. The smile on Dulin's face was hard to suppress. Even God could not keep his heart from being excited at this time. After all, there are 4 treasure chests floating in front of Dulin at this time. 4 fluorescent treasure chests hovered in front of Dulin, making Dulin dizzy for a while. Facts have proved that his conjecture is completely correct. The knights sent all over the world have faithfully carried out the order of God. They have landed on the deserted islands selected by Morgans, and quickly established strongholds on those deserted islands. Then, as expected, there were 4 more island territories on Dulin's panel. Then, 4 treasure chests appeared at the same time. 4 each. In the past, they were opened one by one, where was there such a time of luxury? After Dulin took several deep breaths, he finally decided to officially start the unboxing activity on August 27th. Let me see what I can come up with. Dulin stretched out his hand towards the void in front of him, and one of the 4 treasure chests that were hovering took the initiative to fly towards him. In the next instant, the 2 sides touched. Then the treasure chest shattered. There was a look of anticipation in Dulin's eyes. What good things will come out? Brilliant golden light suddenly bloomed in front of him. There was a crisp sound of clattering. Dulin's look of anticipation disappeared suddenly. Before opening a new account in the previous life, this sound effect should be the most heard when opening a treasure chest. After the golden light gradually dissipated, what floated in front of Dulin was a cloth bag with the Bailey symbol painted on the front. It was not big, about the size of a human head. Great. Dulin sighed softly, it's even a medium-sized purse. This is the easiest item to get out of various treasure chests in the game. Bailey. This size should be a medium-sized purse with 1,000,000 Baileys in it. On the bright side, this is equivalent to 100th devil fruit, right? Dulin comforted himself in this way. Forget it, instead of opening them one by one with anticipation, it's better to open them all in one go. Dulin's hands were like lightning, and he took a selfie on the remaining 3 treasure chests in an instant. The 3 treasure chests were simultaneously shattered at this moment. The triple light begins to bloom. Fortunately, this time there was no sound of golden light or gold coins. After the light dissipated, what appeared in front of Dulin was a glittering golden card, a small octagonal stone with patterns drawn on it, and devil fruit. Dulin reached out and took the fruit with spiral patterns. This is the first time that local specialties have been opened in treasure chests. The first time he touched the fruit in his hand, its name was already displayed on the panel. But there is no need to look at the panel at all. The color is orange, and the spiral pattern is like a flame. Mara Mara fruit. Dulin's eyes were a little subtle. Opening a Logia's devil fruit is certainly not a bad thing. But as we all know, Mara Mara fruit is not eaten by dogs. This thing is of no use to him at all. The flame ability attached to the Lunaria family may not be inferior to Mara Mara fruit, let alone the ability of pterodactyl. Give it to Fram. Dulin casually threw the fruit aside. Fram was the first subordinate he subdued after he came to this world. Although the potential is really limited and he is not qualified for the advanced Tinder, but as one of the most powerful subordinates at the beginning, he must be given some rewards. And then there is. Dulin grabbed the other 2 things with one hand. The appearance of the card gradually became clear, and a familiar figure was printed on it. Oh, it seems that something good has been opened. The corners of Dulin's mouth gradually curled up. The man on the card is wearing Green's vest and a royal robe. Gold's hair is very brilliant, and he wears a forehead protector with a leaf pattern on his forehead. Flying Thunder God Technique. From Hokage Ninja, 4th Hokage Namikaze Minato, you can create a mark by consuming physical or mental energy, and then consume physical and mental energy to instantly transfer to the mark. Close black lens bracket. This is a skill card. Carrying the favorite moves from the next door Hokage Ninja World 4th Hokage Namikaze Minato, the skill card of Flying Thunder God Technique. In that case, Shinigami, Hokage, Pirates. Dulin casually crushed the card in his hand, it's all here. And it's all different. Talent cards from the world of Shinigami, item cards from the world of Hokage, and Devil Fruit and Bailey from the world of One Piece. Well, everyone is quite fierce, why did you stretch your hips when you came here? While Dulin was thinking this way, he was comprehending the moves he had just learned. Flying Thunder God, Flying Thunder God Second Stage, Flying Thunder God Lightning Guidance, Spiral Flash Super Wheel Dance Roar Third Form, Flying Thunder God Instantaneous Swinging Technique. Please complete it. Dulin touched the air casually, and a group of flames flew out. It was only vaguely visible that there was a simple emblem of the sun in the flames. In the next moment, Dulin's body disappeared out of thin air, and he appeared directly at the position of the flame. Excellent. The corners of Dulin's mouth fluttered. His speed is already extremely fast, but no matter how fast his speed is compared with space movement, it is not too far behind. And then, finally, the panel has confirmed his guess. Dulin was still a little dazed. Dulin's expression became solemn immediately. Could it be? A simple yellow dog is painted on the front of the small octagonal stone. The pterosaur fruit he set up actually has the means to make him live forever after awakening. The phoenix, after death, is reborn from the ashes. Dulin solemnly put the spell in his hand into the same equipment bar as Levaden, and decided that he would never take it off. Dog Charm. From the world of Jackie Chan Adventures, one of the 12 spells possessed by the Lord of Fire Demon, which can make the holder immortal and young forever, and can be immune to death and all fatal attacks on the holder. Close black lens bracket. Is eternal life so easy to obtain? He was well aware of how heaven-defying the dog spell's abilities were. Still looking for flowers. Asking for a monthly ticket. Asking for an evaluation ticket. This is the true sense of eternal youth and immortality. Dulin pursed his lips. In short, for the time being, immortality has been achieved. But now, that awakening ability seems to be useless. What a dog spell. 2.9. Not just not dying of old age, but really not dying. Of course Dulin is no stranger to Jackie Chan's adventures, and the second talisman is also an ability he fantasized about when he was a child. Dulin raised the last stone to his eyes. Chapter 122 Special Usage of Flying Thunder God. Phase 2 of the War of Faith. It took Dulin a lot of time to calm down his excitement. This is true immortality. How many villains in the works have pursued their lifelong pursuits, and their own results have been easily realized in this way? Somewhat unrealistic. Dulin Yi reminded himself again in his heart that although he already possessed the power of immortality, he should not be too inflated. The power that the dog spell can provide is simply undead. If you are attacked, you will still be injured, your physical disability cannot be repaired, you will still get sick, and you will faint. Unless, you can get the horse charm from outside interference again. The combination of the horse charm and the dog charm is invincible in the true sense. Of course, that is on the premise that there is no more advanced power to interfere. After calming down a bit, Dulin looked at the Mara Mara fruit that he threw aside. Let that guy, Fram, come over. By the way, you can leave a mark of Flying Thunder God on him. Just as he was about to let the maids come and call for someone, Dulin suddenly had a flash of inspiration. To cast the Flying Thunder God technique, you must have the Mark 05 prepared in advance. But who said that the imprint of Flying Thunder God must be engraved by yourself? Dominate. Dulin instantly activated the ability he got from Bullet. All the fire seeds derived from him were perceived by him at this moment. He can dominate all carriers through the fire. That being the case, dominate these sparks to leave a mark of the Flying Thunder God in all human beings. Even more interesting things can be done. Brush. Without the slightest sign, a figure appeared in front of Dulin in an instant. God. Frame's face was full of astonishment, and after seeing Dulin, he quickly knelt down. He was originally dealing with official business in his office, and then suddenly fell into a trance. How did he come to the temple in an instant? What happened just now? Fram couldn't understand it at all. In fact, it's nothing, but when he didn't realize it, his body was dominated by Dulin. Then, Dulin made him use the Flying Thunder God technique. After all, Flying Thunder God technique is just a move, not an exclusive ability or talent. In other words, as long as you know how to use it, as long as you can learn it, anyone can use it. So of course, those people who are dominated by Dulin can also use this move under Dulin's control. The corners of Dulin's mouth rose slightly. That's where it gets interesting. Those who accept his kindling will not only become his teleportation anchor, but also become the summoning beast of his summoning technique. He can go to anyone's side in an instant, and he can also make anyone come to him in an instant. Flying Thunder God technique turns out to be such a powerful move. The people who went to the 4 seas have perfectly completed the tasks I gave them. Dulin looked at Fram approvingly. Fram, you did a good job. He is very satisfied with today's lottery. It can be said that it is just right, and the things that may be extracted earlier or later will be completely different. You're overrated, God. Fram's face brightened. This is my duty. Oh, there's no need to be modest. Dulin smiled. You have contributed a lot to the development of the Sun Knights to what it is today. So, take it, here's the reward. 11. Dulin casually threw the Mara fruit to Fram. God, is this? Fram immediately raised his hand to catch the fruit, and after looking at it for a while, an expression of disbelief appeared on his face. Devil fruit. Logia Mara fruit. The power of the flame and the power of the flame are superimposed. Fram, let me see how far you can do it. Dulin said calmly. Logia like Enel. Fram's eyes widened instantly. Then, tears came out of my eyes in an instant. His forehead had already hit the ground heavily. Yes, God, approve of me. He wants me to be stronger. I will definitely live up to his expectations. Eat this fruit and make your flame stronger. In the end, with great strength, he became a member of the Knights of God, and guarded him at the side of God. With tears streaming down his face, Frame declared loudly, I will never let you down. Great. Dulin nodded slightly. There is no need to question Fram's loyalty at all. Then you can go back to work and I look forward to your next changes. After snapping his fingers lightly, Fram had disappeared in front of Dulin again. Another brand new game. Flying Thunder God technique is that as long as people and objects in contact with the caster's chakra or body can be transmitted simultaneously. Dulin doesn't have chakra, but the principle is the same. Of course, the people whom he planted the fire seed are considered to be in constant contact with him, so they can directly launch Flying Thunder God to teleport them. Different from the previous teleportation, this consumes Dulin's own physical and mental strength. And dominating the body of others to activate Flying Thunder God consumes others. Each has its pros and cons. Next, Dulin began to spend time engraving the imprint of Flying Thunder God on everyone who has the fire in his body. By the way, I also tried this ninjutsu. The loss of using this ninjutsu in short-distance situations is very small, and it is no big deal to use it dozens of times in a row. But the longer the distance, the more people or things are transmitted, and the consumption will increase exponentially. However, a distance of several hundred kilometers can be easily crossed. During this time, Mahad had returned to the Island of Gods, and the Whitebeard pirates calmed down, not intending to continue attacking Wano. The days became quiet again like this. The biggest movement on the Island of Gods is Fram, who was desperately training Mara Fruit's ability, and Mahad, who officially started to form the center of the Illuminati. Mahad, as an experienced old priest, had already made the Illuminati look good in a short time. He revised the teachings, liturgy, and classics on the basis of Marty. The piggyback also established a basic hierarchy for the Illuminati. The most advanced is of course his god-tier officer, then the high priest who will be in charge of a sea area in the future, and the common priest who will be in charge of a country or region. This is just the basics, and it will continue to change as it expands in the future. In order to assist Mahad's actions, Dulin also spent 2 months creating 200 cavalry who mastered the healing fire. As he grows older, the number of sparks he can create at one time is also increasing, which has doubled compared to when he first arrived. The next step for these cured knights is to receive intensive training from the god-tier officer. Then, someday in the second half of the year, Mahad came to report to Dulin. God, Priest Trit just sent a contact. The work of all the countries in the target sea area has almost been completed. They have found enough companions to chase your glory together. Dulin raised his eyebrows. It has been more than a year since Tritter and the others went to Qinghai to preach. Almost forgot about this. Then let them get going. In the War of Faith, the second phase begins. Chapter 123 See Circle Calendar 1500. When the Wind Blows. Sengoku Island. There is another island not far from Storm Island, and there is also a small country on the island. The Kingdom of Pamela is a small country whose entire border is nothing more than a city and dozens of surrounding villages. With a population of more than 3 million, the economic situation is not much better than that of Will Kingdom on Storm Island, which is still a poor non-government country. But it is such an unremarkable country where even pirates rarely come to patronize, but a rebellion happened today. General Omar, what are you doing? In front of the not-so-splendid palace, the soldiers guarding the palace tremblingly held their weapons and asked. In front of them, heavily armed soldiers with guns and live ammunition surrounded a man on a tall horse. The man pulled out the knife from his waist. Isn't this a matter of course? The king is perverse, and the people are miserable. Now is the time for me to set things right. The soldiers guarding the palace looked at this man in horror, the general who was in charge of all the armies in the country. How could he start a rebellion? What's worse is that at this time the general behind. They are all the ministers with names and surnames in the kingdom. They gather together, even if they don't need to launch a rebellion, it is enough to empty His Majesty the king. What exactly is going on? The general raised the knife in his hand, evil. He paused, for God. Almost at the same moment. Several other countries in this sea area are also experiencing simultaneous turmoil. But the forms are different. And one of the countries is the most special. Kingdom of Carrick. This country has a population of 8 million and a land area of 500,000 square kilometers. The island has a very magnificent stone forest landscape and has always been the most fascinating tourist attraction in the nearby sea. The economic situation of this country is much better than that of Will Kingdom and Pamela Kingdom. So this also means that this country has the ability to pay huge amounts of money in the sky. This country is a member country of world government. The only government member country in this sea area. In the royal palace of this country that night. Thomas, what are you doing? His Majesty the King of this country sat paralyzed on his throne, surrounded by palace guards who had surrounded him with weapons. He looked at the man standing behind the soldiers in disbelief. The well-dressed man stroked the beard on his chin. He looked at the man sitting on the throne with pity. Father, don't blame me, this is God's will. God. The king looked astonished. What are you talking about? What God? Have you forgotten, Your Majesty? Behind the man named Thomas, a man in a white robe slowly stepped forward. Tritter smiled and said, God also offered you an olive branch, but you rejected it. It's you. The king remembered that there was once a guy who claimed to be the apostle of God who wanted to preach to him. But he was directly rejected. He has no interest in this kind of thing. Rejecting God's goodwill. Father, you are no longer qualified to continue sitting in this position. Thomas's complexion changed, and he became angry. I will lead this country from now on. The king looked at his son, and at the courtiers who followed behind him who had sworn allegiance to him. It's you. He understands everything. What happened before it was not accidental. Many courtiers died inexplicably before. However, no reason has been found out. He didn't know the cause and effect of everything until now. Trit just smiled slightly. The next step in this country is the gathering of gods. People who reject the light of the sun are not welcome here. God's will does not allow anyone to refuse. In this sea area, chaos continued. Island of Gods. Dulin has been paying attention to the situation in the sea area below. The actions of Tritter and the others went very smoothly. They have developed a large number of companions in each country of this sea area, and now, these companions are moving under the command of Dulin. These people started to seize their respective countries using various means. Rebellion, coup d'état, are simply the king's allies. Dulin said casually, isn't this very well done? In this case, it won't be long before the country on the sea area connected by the empty road will become its own territory. Well, there will probably be another treasure chest. Dulin thought so. God, after taking these countries. Mahad asked for Dulin's opinion, do you want to spread your glory in these countries on a large scale? Those who were able to join the Illuminati before and bathe in the glory of God were all important figures from various countries. Dulin thought for a while, don't worry about joining the government, let's start with the joining countries. There are marine bases in the vicinity of the franchise countries. If the existence of the Illuminati is exposed, the government will definitely go to war without hesitation. Dulin is not afraid of going to war with the government, otherwise he wouldn't show up in Rog Town without hesitation. It's just that I simply feel that it is obvious that I can develop step by step, and there is no need to rush to fight. Yes. Mahad nodded slightly. I will arrange for the priests to go immediately, and the priests who will go to the direction of the upside down mountain to spread your glory are also ready to leave at any time. The direction of the reverse mountain refers to the sea area where Gaia Island faces the mouth of the Grand Line. Of course, you have to expand in this direction first, and you can't directly conquer in the direction of Marin. This sea area is very vast, and there are 7 routes connected by magnetic force alone. There are countless countries in between. This will be a big project. When the strategy of this sea area is completed, it should no longer be possible to hide. Dulin thought so. Then it will be lively. Then let them go. Dulin ordered. Yes. The action in the sea area below has not yet ended, and the Illuminati has started to act again. This time it is targeting a wider sea area. Time began to pass like this. Sea circle calendar. The last months of the 15th century come to an end. Noli's 1500 is here. On the first day of the year, Dulin remembered that a mother died on this day. January 1st 1500 was the day Portgas d'Ace was born. But Dulin didn't care. What he cares more about is actually the progress of the raid in the sea area below. After all, this probably means a new treasure chest. While Dulin was waiting quietly, West Blue, Westeros Island, the deserted island occupied by the Knights of the Gods. Suddenly a large ship approached on the nearby sea. And on the sea behind this ship, a larger marine warship is chasing after it at a very fast speed. The warship is constantly firing, blasting water jets one after another on the sea. Then, the daily shell fell on the side of the ship ahead. Oops, the cabin is flooded with water. What now, Oravia? I can only stop at the island in front of me. Damn it, is this the end? Chapter 124 Mahad's Spellcaster Ohara Incident. The broken ship slowly docked on the coast of Westeros Island, and a group of people hurriedly carried things from above to below. In the rear, the chasing warships have stopped shelling. On the bow of the warship, a particularly huge guy smiled and looked at the people who landed in the distance. Deli hee 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 hee. It seems that there is nowhere to escape. The size of this man has completely exceeded the limit of human beings, and his height is close to 20 meters. Even monsters like Kaido and Charlotte Linlin are as small as babies in front of him. This is a matter of course, he is not human, but a Titan. Ready to log in, Titan pushed the marine cap on his forehead. Arrest all those archaeologists. All ancient relics, documents, and materials on the ship should be preserved as much as possible. Those are important evidence. Yes, Saul Vice Admiral. The Marines behind him responded loudly. But at this time on the coast, those who were being chased and called archaeologists by Titan Vice Admiral Saul were not in a hurry to escape, although there was nowhere to escape. They are anxiously carrying a bunch of things from the boat to the boat. Damn, the cabin is flooded. Hurry up and move all the materials down. Anyway, there is nowhere to escape, at least protect the documents. Yes, these are the most precious heritage of mankind. They must not be damaged like this. 283 shouting such slogans, archaeologists have completely disregarded life and death. Among them was a beauty with long snow-white hair and brown skin. She bit her lip and worked hard to rescue the documents with her companions. Sorry, Robin, Mom, it seems that I can't go back. Just when the archaeologists were working hard and the Marines were close at hand, several people quickly approached the depths of this rocky island. Marine, are you hunting a fugitive? They didn't approach the coast, but hid in the dark and observed quietly. Do we need to step in? No need for now, as long as they don't have the idea of staying on this island, it has nothing to do with us. Understood, but the specifications of that warship seem to be unusual. Look carefully, maybe there is something that will be valuable to God. AFAF, neither the Marines nor the archaeologists realized that there are still people watching in the dark. When the warships had docked and the Marines were landing, the archaeologists finally rescued all the documents. Run! The woman with white hair, Oravia shouted loudly, everyone, run away with the data. Only one can escape, definitely. We must continue our business. But, Deli hee 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 hee. I can't go anywhere. Accompanied by loud laughter, a huge figure swept across the sky, and then landed heavily in front of the archaeologists. The earth trembled violently and rocks crumbled. The archaeologists couldn't even stand still, and the whole pig fell to the ground due to the shock. Huge men have stood in front of the archaeologists. I declare, archaeologists, that you. Titan folded his arms around his chest, smiling brightly, I'm trapped. The Marines have already surrounded everyone. The archaeologists all looked pale and desperate, and some even burst into tears. Hey, don't be so pessimistic. Saul laughed loudly, it's just some prohibited research, and it will only be locked up for a few years at most. However, archaeologists are still looking desperate. The content of their research is not the end of a few years. The Marines arrested the archaeologists one after another, took all the materials on board the warship, and then turned away. Archaeologist, it doesn't seem easy. Report to Sanctuary. Island of Gods. Dulin didn't wait too long, and the sea below the sky sanctuary might finally be unified. Another territory also appeared on his panel. Open black lens bracket empty gate sea area close black lens bracket. The system gave this sea area another name. Probably because the center of this sea area is the starting point of the empty road, so it is called the empty door. Yes, Dulin also got a new treasure chest as he wished. It's just that nothing extraordinary was found in this treasure chest. A fairy bean from the world of Dragon Ball. Although this thing is almost equivalent to another life, no matter how serious the injury is, as long as it is not dead, it can be saved. But for Dulin, who already has an immortal body, it can only be used as a physical supplement. It's better to get another ability during this period of time. The source of this ability is Mahad. So much time has passed, and Dulin has once again possessed the ability to bestow advanced fire seed. As a matter of course, Mahad got his advanced tinder. Almost the same as Kisara, in the blink of an eye when he got the fire, Mahad had already awakened his ability. Spellcaster. The ability inspired by Mahad during the process of exploring the magic way can increase the power of moves, reduce the consumption of moves, and speed up the speed of casting moves. When actively casting, it enters an over-limit state, and the mental power is fixed at a certain level. It is a move that can be performed without consumption and without forward swing within a certain period of time. Close black lens bracket. It is simple and unpretentious, but it is very suitable for Mahad. After all, he is a mage, and his moves are already fancy enough. Increase power, reduce consumption, and reduce forward swing. There is nothing more suitable for mage. Not to mention, there is also an active unlimited fire mode. Very strong, very suitable for Mahad. God, news from the West Blue Advanced team. Now almost 3 advanced sparks can be produced in a year, and there are more than 200 common sparks in a month. Among other things, the consumption of making fire has been reduced by half. Dulin raised his eyebrows. As the most intuitive expression, Mahad is now ranked first among the Knights of God. Titan, archaeologist. Well, there is a reason why I have to fight firsthand. But Dulin doesn't allow it. Wanokuni has just been included in the panel. Bullet was very annoyed by this, and called several times to say that he wanted to come to the island of the gods to compete with Mahad. At this time, Fram came to see Dulin in a hurry. In addition, Dulin also likes this ability very much. Oh, if I remember correctly, Ohara seems to have a lot of information about ancient technology, right? Not to mention the Phoenix State. He solemnly said, Marine went to Westeros Island and arrested a group of archaeologists led by a Titan Shi. Improving power is secondary, the focus is on reducing consumption. So, is it time for the Ohara event? If the unlimited firepower mode is turned on, Dulin can finally experience the feeling of Phoenix bombing indiscriminately. Chapter 125 Robin and Saul. God. Latest news. Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral, Titan Jaguar D. Saul defected to Marine. The voice of Morgans came from the phone bug. He has returned to New World. After all, he is the big boss of a company, and it is impossible not to go back all the time. This time, he is going back to deal with the specific matters of the company's expansion. However, the existence of the phone bug still allows him to convey the message to Dulin very conveniently. It's astonishing. It's been a long time since a Marine officer of this level has mutinied. The voice of Morgans on the other end of the phone was very surprised. It is said that it is related to the arrested archaeologists. Morgans was rightly surprised. Although Saul is a Titan, he is different from the general Titans who are hired by Marine. This man is a graduate from the recruit training camp under the tutelage of the Black Lung Zephyr. It can be said that the roots are red. Yeah, Dulin nodded reassuringly. It seems that something interesting is about to happen. It's a pity, I also want to see it. Morgan said with some disappointment. God, you said it was very interesting, so it must be very interesting, right? Better do your own thing first. Dulin ended the call with Morgans. He turned his head, and in the distance, the clouds were swiftly passing by. The huge ship is flying above the sky, riding the strong wind and moving forward. The solar ship has been dispatched, and the target is West Blue, Ohara. It was there that the next big event took place. There is a huge tree of omniscience on that island, which has survived for more than 5,000 years. It is actually an outrageous library with a long history. A huge amount of books and documents were stored in that library, especially, many documents of ancient science and technology that had been buried by history were stored. Dulin was somewhat interested. He's more interested in the fact that after the Ennie's Lobby incident in Ohara, some awesome guy used to go there. Dulin is very interested in that guy. Today, he has no shortage of fighters, but brains, especially scientists. Accelerate. Dulin said casually, don't miss the interesting things. Yes. Aside, Mahad nodded respectfully. So the solar boat continued to accelerate. West Blue is still a bit too far away, it is on the other side of the red line. This time, the people who followed Dulin Yi to West Blue included Mahad, Kisara and Enel, together with the accompanying maids and the Sun Knights. It was considered a huge force. Well, except for Mahad and the others, the only role that other people can play is to steer the ship and serve Dulin. Dulin leaned lazily in the maid's soft arms. Ohara, I'm looking forward to it. West Blue, Ohara, the island of archaeologists of world civilization. On this day, on the streets of the town on the island, a little girl was running forward with her head buried. The girl held a small bag in her arms, which contained several breads. Although these breads can only be regarded as a drop in the bucket for the new friend who just met, but this is also a little bit of my heart. Thinking of that new friend, the girl couldn't help showing a happy smile on her face. Growing up so big, no one has ever been so friendly to her except the scholars on the island. Although he grows very big, he always makes a very strange laugh, but he will tell himself many things about the sea, and he is the 10th friend in his life. The girl ran very fast, and ran out of the town in no time, and came to the coast at the edge of the forest outside the city, where her new friend was. Saul. The girl couldn't hold back the excitement in her heart and cheered happily. She rushed out of the forest, where her friends were waiting for her. But, the girl froze immediately. Her huge friend stood by the sea in a fighting posture, with cold sweat on his forehead. Saul. The girl tilted her head. Is Saul fighting with something? She turned her head following Saul's line of sight, and there was a strange person standing on top of a boulder. Well, what a handsome man. The little girl was far from the time when she was in love, but such an idea came to her almost instinctively in an instant. Gold's smooth hair and White's wings on the back, just standing there, is like the sun, making it difficult to look directly at. Yes, someone Saul knows. The girl thought so. Robin. Huge's friend also noticed the girl's arrival. He almost turned his head in horror. Run. This guy is super dangerous. The girl hadn't reacted yet. The person standing on the boulder also looked back, and Robin noticed that there was an inexplicable smile on the boy's face. Back in time to a little earlier. On the sky, after taking some time, the solar ship has reached West Blue. Then continued to go all the way through the pointer and the chart, and soon came to the sky above Lihala. It's really lush. Looking down at the island from above, Dulin sighed. From above all you can see is green, the crown of the great tree of omniscience. This giant tree, which has grown for more than 5,000 years, has almost covered the entire island. God, found the Titan. Enel, who was observing the island below through observation hockey, said, also, a warship on the sea is also approaching, and there is only one woman on board, which should be Nica. 0. Seeking flowers 0. The pressure brought by Mahad Bullet, Chisara and others has made Enel practice almost like a madman recently. Although the ranking in the Knights of God is still at the 4th place, his strength has also made great progress. At least in terms of observation hockey, it has reached an amazing level. Yeah, Dulin smiled, then go down for a stroll. Quote. Now that Orovia is back, it means that Buster Call is today. Then, before the battle begins, let's take a look at the city of archaeologists. Just wait up there. Dulin said so. God, Kisara wants to go too. The white dragon girl tugged at Dulin's sleeve lightly, because her eyes were full of anticipation. 0. Kisara likes to fight, likes to destroy, but prefers to stay with God. Let's go then. In the next instant, Dulin appeared outside the side of the ship, and then fell down under the pull of gravity. Yeah, Kisara strikes. Shala cheered, jumped up, and jumped down right behind Dulin. The strong wind was whistling beside his ears, and when he fell down, Dulin had already easily locked the position of the Titan. The guy was building a raft on the coast at this time. It was funny to say that he had been floating here for several days, but he didn't know that this was his destination, Ohara. Dulin landed lightly on a boulder by the sea. Shala followed closely behind, but the movement of her landing was much louder, directly smashing a boulder into pieces. The corners of his mouth hooked up. What, Saul? A surprised voice came from the side. You, why are you here? How would it appear here? But it is this time. Ali, the second member of the protagonist group besides Frankie. Then he saw Dulin standing on the boulder and waved towards him lightly. A monster with a bounty of 1 billion for the first time. Titan turned around in astonishment. Then what I saw was a young girl. Jaguar D. Saul, meeting for the first time. He dang back almost in fright, and then instantly assumed a fighting posture. Titan's eyes widened in an instant, as if the eyeballs were about to fly out of them. Dulin turned his head away. Whacked Kuzan at Rogtown 2 years ago, and even with Bullet last year beat off too many guys who took over Wano Kuni. Robin. Chapter 126 Mother and Daughter Recognition, Literature. Robin, run. This guy is super dangerous. Saul was already screaming and yelling. This guy is super dangerous. It is exactly the same level as Kaido, Charlotte Linlin, and Douglas Bullet monsters, and needs to dispatch Marine Admiral to meet them. Such a guy appeared in Ohara, I wonder what he came for. God, is it an enemy? Kisara jumped out of the smoke. She landed beside Dulin, her fiery gaze had already landed on Saul, then she pursed her mouth, this guy is so weak. Although it is a former naval headquarters vice admiral, Saul's strength is not much different from other Titan vice admirals, and they all rely on the strong basic strength of the Titan clan to crush the enemy. Its strength is not as good as that of a serious marine vice admiral, let alone Kisara. The current ranking of the White Dragon Girl in the Knights of God has been changing between 2nd and 3rd. Don't be nervous, Saul, you are no longer a marine, of course we are no longer enemies. Besides. Dulin called Titan's name affectionately, if I want to do something, what can you do? The tone was very kind, but it made Saul Luo dare not breathe. Of course he, 813, knows that as long as the guy in front of him is willing, he will definitely be killed instantly. What the hell is this guy up to? Saul was silent. In any case, now we can only resign ourselves to fate. However, if this guy is going to threaten Robin, he will keep Robin even if it means risking his life. This island is about to be destroyed. Dulin said calmly, I just want to visit again for the last time, maybe I won't have another chance in the future. Huh, destruction. The immature little girl blinked ignorantly. The 8-year-old child still doesn't quite understand the meaning of this word, she just instinctively feels that bad things are coming. What did you say? Saul immediately exclaimed, are you going to destroy this island? Of course he subconsciously thought of this. Dulin just thought it was a little funny, he took a light step, and in the next moment, the person had appeared directly beside the little girl. Really, haven't you reacted yet? Here, he said amidst Saul's frightened gaze, that's Ohara. Quote. Exclamation mark. Saul, who originally thought that Dulin was going to attack Robin, froze for a moment. He was as stiff as if struck by lightning, here, as Ohara. That, Ohara about to be attacked by Buster Call. It's time to go back, Robin. Dulin looked at the little girl in front of him, patted her on the head with one hand, go back to the town. Robin still hadn't realized the situation at all, she just looked at Dulin in surprise. After all, Dulin added, your mother, Orovia, has also returned. If you go back now, you should just meet her. Mother. Robin's immature face also froze. Is Orovia your mother, Robin? Saul scratched his head annoyed, how could he just focus on making a raft these days and didn't think about asking Robin the name of this island? What a waste of time. I hope there is still a chance to make up for it now. Robin, go back to town. Go tell the scholars that the government sent Marines to destroy them. Saul quickly said, it's not just them, even this island is in danger. Besides, He glanced at Dulin carefully. Your mother, Orvia, should indeed be coming back. They sailed separately at that time, and counting the time, if Orvia didn't have any problems halfway, it should be almost there. I get it. The island is about to face great danger. The mother I missed for many years is back. Two thoughts swirled in the girl's mind. She immediately turned around and ran into the town. The feeling in my heart was very strange for a while. Are you happy? Is it panic? Robin doesn't know. She only knew that she had never felt so anxious to go back as she is now. Let's go, Kasara. Dulin stretched casually and walked around. The white dragon girl nodded heavily. They ignored Saul at all, and flew towards the direction of the town directly. Saul wanted to call him back. But after all, he didn't dare to speak. What are you shouting for? Don't you dare to ask him what ulterior purpose he came to this island for. How can it be? But how does this guy know that Ohara is about to be destroyed? How did he know Orvia was Robin's mother? Weird, this guy is weird. But, Saul watched their backs disappear into the sky. A strange idea suddenly appeared in his mind. If there is anyone who can save this island now, it must be this guy. Damn it, how could that guy be reliable? Saul, think about it. What else can you, an idiot, do? Dulin and the two soon came to the town of this island. There is no difference between it and other common cities on the sea. If there are any special features, it is probably that there are slightly more bookstores in the town. After all, it is a world-famous archaeological holy land, and it still has some academic atmosphere. But other than that, it's pretty mediocre. The biggest feature of this island is really there. Dulin raised his head, and in front of him, at the end of the street and outside the town, huge trees rose from the ground. That is the Tree of Omniscience, probably the largest library in the world. It's so big. God, Sarah exclaimed, it's bigger than the bean vines on the island of the gods. That's right. Then next, go there. Dulin grabbed Kisara's hand, and the next moment, the two disappeared. Under the Tree of Omniscience, Robin ran out of breath to the door of the library. Just as she was about to open the door, her hand stopped the moment it touched the doorknob. Mom, are you back? If you open this door, can you see your mother? Robin sniffed. Then, she flung open the door. Walking into the library, what you see is that scholars gathered together are discussing something. Robin sees Dr. Clover, whose hair and beard add up to the same Clover. She also saw who was talking to the doctor, the white-haired woman. Is it her? Could it be her? Robin was only 2 years old when her mother left, and she couldn't remember her mother's appearance clearly. She just remembered that her mother had white hair and dark green eyes like her own. Robin. Dr. Clover looked at Robin, who suddenly broke in and exclaimed subconsciously. Robin. The woman with white hair looked back instantly, and she stared at Robin in a daze. She has the same eyes as herself. Tears had flowed from the eyes in an instant, and the voice couldn't help trembling. It became difficult just to blurt out a word. Mom, are you, my mother? The turbulent tears destroyed the woman's eye sockets at this moment, and hot tears gushed out. But she dared not speak. I am now a wanted person. If my daughter recognizes me, she will be in danger. You got the wrong person. It's just a few words, but they seem to be extremely important. Every time she utters a character, Nicole Orvia feels her body becomes weaker. After saying a word, she felt as if she was about to collapse. The surrounding scholars also wept silently. Of course they know what Orvia is for. It's a lie. While Robin was crying silently, a voice suddenly came from behind her. Dulin suddenly appeared with Sarah. What? Dr. Clover, who was wiping his tears, widened his eyes. When did it appear? It's nothing. It's just that when I touched Robin's head just now, I left a mark of Flying Thunder God. It seems to be catching up. If I remember correctly, in the original work, when Robin went back to report the letter, he passed by Orvia. Dulin thought so. Mother. Robin could no longer control himself, so he rushed over and grabbed his mother's waist. Orvia instantly felt that she had lost all her strength in 3.2, and she could not help but slumped on the ground, shaking her head desperately. No, I'm not. You, Robin, you mistaken. Unable to say any more words of denial, Orvia hugged her daughter tightly, never wanting to let go. Dulin said, find out everything about ancient technology for me. The girl was wailing. You are. The scholars couldn't help wiping their tears. Mom. Woohoo. Dr. Clover looked at Dulin. 2 years ago, it was on the wanted list. Boss around. I want to see the literature here. But now you can cry out loud. He kept denying it with his mouth, but his hands had already involuntarily hugged his child. Of course I recognized it, the features are too obvious. Because of her growing environment, she has been very sensible since she was a child, and there is almost no time when her emotions are completely out of control. Only Kisara, the white dragon girl who completely lacked normal human emotion, curled her lips. Robin. Because, it is in the arms of mother. It's so noisy. Chapter 127 Buster Call launched. Is that a world government ship? In the sky, on the deck of the sunship, when Tianyu looked down at the sea below, she saw a large ship anchored off the coast of Ohara. On the mast hangs the flag of the world government that has ever seen. It's CP9. Enel, who had been listening attentively, explained, the leader is a guy named Spandine, who came to this island to collect 100 years of criminal evidence that archaeologists have studied blankly. His subordinates are persuading the residents of the island to go to the port and board the refuge ship. In addition, Marine's warships have also assembled on the nearby sea. There are 4 vice admirals in total, including an old acquaintance. The corner of Enel's mouth twitched. It's the guy who used ice in Rogtown before. He said he was an acquaintance, but in fact he was just an acquaintance of his own. Neither Mahad nor Tien Yushi had ever seen that Kuzan vice admiral. Do you want to stop them from interfering with God's play? Tianyu asked softly. She is just a little maid and has no power to make decisions. God hasn't sent the oracle yet. Mahad said calmly. Oh 5, stand still for now, waiting for God's order. 2. Enel nodded. Just relying on these guys, it's just for the gods to make fun of. Inside the Tree of Omniscience, Dulin sat on a chair. Kasara was happily running up and down the walls of the huge library. Spiraling upwards, a burst of cheerful laughter sprinkled down. Scholars kept sending books and volumes of manuscripts to Dulin in awe. Of course they were unwilling to agree to Dulin's request. But after Dulin summoned the flame and told them that if he refused, he would immediately burn the Tree of Omniscience, the scholars immediately became honest. That's a lot. Dulin sighed. Various books and manuscripts have piled up in front of him to form a hill. And scholars are sending even more books. Dulin opened a book casually. Well, as expected, it is still familiar and completely incomprehensible. However, the light in Dulin's eyes flickered, and the ability of explore was activated. Through the appearance of words and pictures, Dulin sees the truth. Well, I can understand it right away. However, it is one thing to understand it, and another thing to be able to use it and master it. Still have to find a scientist. Dulin thought so. So today's Buster Call still has to be activated. After that, the big head will come. When Dulin was flipping through the book quietly, in the corner, Morvia was whispering to her daughter whom she had not seen for 6 years. Of course, this is no time to ask about Robin's upbringing over the years. Orvia was asking her daughter about Dulin in a low voice. After all, such a big pirate suddenly appeared in Ohara. No matter how you think about it, it's not right. Robin honestly told her mother everything she knew. Orvia immediately fell into the same doubts as Saul. How did that man know so many things? The threat from Marine and the government was already imminent, and now this guy appeared again. Orvia just felt overwhelmed. Boom. The gate of the Tree of Omniscience was kicked open, and a group of black suits with muskets rushed in. Everyone. Boom. The roar lasted only for a moment, and the flames came oncoming, and all the black suits were blown out. It's noisy. Dulin closed the book in his hand, frowning slightly. You scholars dare not take a breath. The physiognomy guy couldn't think of a fire and lit the entire library. It doesn't matter if they die, only these books can't be lost, they are the precious heritage of all mankind. Outside the Tree of Omniscience, more black suits have surrounded the entire library. Flames spewing from the gate startled them. What? Fight back. Scholars fight back, violently resisting the search. They are no longer simple suspects. They must punch hard. Agents from the CP system started clamoring. Now you don't even need to collect evidence, just resort to violence. However, at this moment, a figure slowly walked out from the gate of the Tree of Omniscience. White's robe, gold's hair, white wings, and the circle of flames behind his head. He is. The agents who were aggressive just now became stuttering in an instant. As the subordinates of the world government, they certainly know all the guys in the sea who offer extraordinary bounties. Although I don't know the name, the boy in front of me is quite explosive even among the monsters. The first reward is the gold content of 1 billion Baileys. God, do you want me to destroy them? The white dragon girl who came out with Dulin was eager to try. Although they are all miscellaneous fish, there are many people. Dulin just smiled, and he looked towards the front of the agents. Hey, what are you bastards doing? A bluffing voice sounded from the rear, and a certain man forced the agents away and stepped forward. Where are the scholars? Have you found all the evidence? Sir Spandine, it's the guy. An agent's voice trembled, the Lunaria from ROG 2 years ago. The somewhat sloppy man froze for a moment, then looked at Dulin in a daze. He was slightly startled again, and then his face finally changed drastically. Withdraw, withdraw, withdraw. Almost screaming, the man named Spandine ran away. Just kidding, he, the CP9 chief, knows it. This guy, with Bullet, fought off Kaido and Whitebeard's monsters. Contact 5 elders. While running, he took out the phone bug 613, the current situation is beyond his control. 5 elders must be contacted immediately. But when he hurriedly took out the phone bug, he forgot that he had one and only one phone bug on him. When he pressed the phone bug in his hand, a sharp beep sounded instantly in the cabin of the marine warship on the nearby sea. Buster Call is activated. Buster Call is activated. Everyone is ready to fight. The same order echoed across 10 marines. At the same time. On the sea in the distance, 10 huge warships have gathered, and their cannons are aimed at Ohara. The artillery roared. Your political life is over. Dulin looked into the distance. Boom 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 boom. What a fool. Retreat quickly. Almost immediately, above the sky, streaks of black thunder pierced through the canopy of the Tree of Omniscience and fell down, covering all the government agents including Spandane in an instant. Wrong. Only then did Spandane realize what a fool he had done. Dulin chuckled. Like a son, like a father, right? Enel, kill them all. Immediately afterwards. Then it's started Buster Call without 5 elders' permission. The Buster Call is launched, not to mention political life. If you stay on the island, your physical life is over. It's over. Chapter 128 Orvia's Request. Kuzan and Sakazuki. The so-called Buster Call is composed of 10 warships and 5 Vice Admiral and Marine elite combat forces. It conducts an indiscriminate and destructive attack on the area where the signal is sent, and is used to completely wipe out the things and objects in an area that threatens the rule of the world government. People. This troop configuration is not absolute, and it will be adjusted according to the threat level of the target. It is not surprising that Admiral leads the team himself, and even a plurality of Admiral-level characters are dispatched. At this time, the Buster Call that Ohara is facing is the most basic style, 10 warships led by 5 Vice Admirals. But it was already enough. Ohara was just a small island, not big, and there were no great powerhouses. The cannonballs like raindrops crashed down with a sharp wind sound, and landed in every corner of Ohara, and then blossomed into flame flowers. Explosions, flames, and screams covered the entire Ohara almost in an instant. This peaceful island of scholars has completely become a hell on earth. However, in this hell, there are also great warriors who are bringing a little redemption. Damn it, are Marines crazy? Saul was roaring, and he opened his arms with his back to the warships in the distant sea. The shells kept falling on his back, making his body tremble constantly, and his back was already a bloody mess. But Saul didn't intend to get out of the way at all. In front of him, a group of people with bags on their backs were trembling. The innocent people have not had time to board and leave the ship. Even Buster Call, it's too much. Mr. Sengoku, what are you thinking? Except for the scholars, do you even want to wipe out all the people on the island together? Suddenly, Saul felt that the shells from behind did not continue to fall. There was even a hint of coolness coming from behind. Ah la la, I didn't expect to meet you here, Sa Baidu. A familiar voice sounded. Saul turned around in surprise and joy. Kuzan. A huge dome of ice had enveloped the sky at some point, and under the dome, an old acquaintance wearing a petty crime mirror was strolling over. Don't make such a happy face, Saul. Come, Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral. Kuzan scratched his hair. Now we are not companions. That kind of thing doesn't matter. Saul said loudly. It's great that you came, Kuzan. Send these people to the refuge boat on the shore first. You can't, just watch them die. Kuzan turned his head. Among the people protected by Saul, there are gray-haired old people, and there are also children in the arms of their mothers. Kuzan pursed his lips. This action is already very wrong. Why did the righteous Marine attack a group of scholars who study history, and even included the entire island in the attack range? Saul's voice shook Kuzan's heart like Hong Zhongdalu, and now, people who have nothing to do with this matter have become targets. Kuzan, do you think this is normal? Kuzan was silent for a moment. He sighed. Kuzan stamped his right foot on the ground, the ice spread instantly, and a huge iceberg rose from the ground, extending from here to the sea. Below the iceberg, there is a tunnel. That guy Spandane is missing on the island. It is estimated that there is an unusual guy on the island, and Sakazuki and I are asked to search for it. After making the iceberg, Kuzan has already headed directly towards the Tree of Omniscience. That seems to be more important. Saul, I'll deal with you later. Saul paused for a moment, and then, hey, I don't have a boat anyway, so I have nowhere to go. Kuzan had disappeared under fire. Everyone, get out of the tunnel to the rescue ship. Saul yelled. Then he suddenly remembered something. Oops, forgot to tell Kuzan who came to the island. That Spandane must have been killed by that guy. And Robin and Orvia. Saul gritted his teeth. No, I want to go too. The Tree of Omniscience. The constant rain of cannonballs brought scholars out of the library. Then, in amazement, they saw the entire island burning. What is this? Dr. Clover staggered a few steps forward, and he fell to the ground in extreme shock. It's Buster Call. Dulin said plainly, Marines' military operation to wipe an entire island directly from the world. Dr. Clover's thin body was trembling. He put his hands on his head and said in pain, is so afraid. World government, is this so afraid of the 10th that the truth will be revealed? So much so that it needs to be done to such an extent. Dulin glanced at him. Nothing happens. For the actions of these archaeologists, Dulin neither dislikes nor likes them. Because, it doesn't matter. But the scholars gathered here have already started to cry bitterly. Their research brought disaster to the island. Everyone is implicated by them. Moreover, their lives will end here, and their research will end here. Instead of crying here, why not hurry up and sort out the documents I want? Dulin said lightly, who do you think is the reason why this place was not bombed? The scholars froze for a moment. Then they looked up in astonishment. In the sky, the white dragon girl is laughing and playing a shooting game. Shishala's fingertips splashed out streaks of light, which directly exploded one after another of the shells falling towards here. The scholars froze for a moment. Then, are you going to take those files with you? Suddenly, Orvia, who was holding her daughter, came to Dulin, and she asked respectfully and solemnly. Dulin glanced at her, then chuckled, indeed. There are quite a few of those materials, and if you want to take them away, there must be a means of transportation. Orvia took a deep breath, and she knelt down in front of Dulin. Can I ask you to take away the other documents as well? They are the most precious property of human beings, and they must not be lost here like this. Although it may make you an enemy of the government, I don't think you will care about such things. That's right. Dr. Clover also stood up after hearing Orvia's words, and begged on his knees, I implore you, although I don't know your name yet, but I beg you very much. They are all very valuable, and even many of them are priceless rare copies. It is an astronomical fortune in itself. Please take them away, take as much as you can. You will never suffer. Please. The scholars also understood, and almost at the same time, everyone bowed their knees to Dulin. Dulin was slightly taken aback. These guys. He smiled, interesting, let's go, before I decide to leave, let me see how much you can move out. The scholars froze for a moment. Then the next second, they started rushing into the tree of omniscience like lunatics. The gray-haired Dr. Clover rushed to the front. Hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. Priority to move the most precious books and documents. That's right, push the rest to the water and try your luck, good season. Scholars started the final work with a smile. Orvia was very impatient, but did not rush into the tree of omniscience with the scholars. She looked at Dulin and gritted her teeth lightly. She has selfish motives. Robin is only 8 years old. Her life should not have ended here. But it is at this time. Spandine's disappearance is your fault. A deep and dignified voice sounded from a distance. Dulin turned his head. In the distant town, a figure slowly walked out. Wearing a hood, there is a marine hat under the hood, and there is magma flowing down his body. You actually appear here. Could it be that you have colluded with the scholars of Ohara, and the goal is to awaken the ancient weapon? Quote. Allah, this is also a question I am curious about. On the other side, another figure descended from the sky. The moment he landed, the ground was frozen. Why are you here? The little brother who still doesn't know his name. Meet acquaintances. The corners of Dulin's mouth curled slightly. The fire is here. Kuzan and Sakazuki. Chapter 129. Don't underestimate people. On an island not far from Ohara, there stands a marine base. In the office at the highest point of the base, Marine Admiral with a not-so-exaggerated afro, and Sengoku the Buddha are quietly feeding the sheep. He tore the documents to shreds, and then slowly stuffed them into the mouth of his pet lamb. The lamb also never refused to come, and swallowed all the paper industry. Buster Call has been activated, and now Ohara is almost in a state of destruction. Sengoku thought so. He is the commander-in-chief of this operation against the archaeologists of Ohara, and even the golden phone bug that launched the Buster Call was given to Spandane by him. But he didn't want to be there in person. On the one hand, it was unnecessary, and on the other hand, it was also because he didn't want to see the island completely destroyed. This world is cruel. Even if the government is bad in one way or another, at least the government has roughly maintained the stability of the world for 800 years. Any provocation against the government is a violation of marine justice. Sengoku doesn't regret this action, but it doesn't mean he is very calm. However, an unexpected situation happened. A phone call came in suddenly. Mr. Sengoku, there is bad news. Who 980 likes? What's the matter? That guy showed up. The time has come to the present, and the place can be under the tree of omniscience. Dulin calmly looked at the two men who came hand in hand. The future marshal of the Marine and the future captain of the 10th ship of the Blackbeard pirates, the two highest officials who presided over the Buster Call. In the future, the two people who will be in conflict to some extent, are going to fight together at this time. That guy is not easy to deal with. Kuzan breathed slowly, and every time he exhaled, a white mist would float out. There is also that woman in the sky. Although I have never seen her make a move, it should not be easy. But now is the best opportunity. Sakazuki's arms are hanging down in a hat, and his two forearms have turned into magma, which is dripping down. This guy is even more threatening than Kaido. Since he appeared, then don't give him the chance to leave Ohara. Kuzan nodded approvingly. Dulin just smiled. Boom. Black and white intertwined thunder pierced through the canopy and crashed down. Following closely behind was the white girl who fell from the sky and fell to the ground. God. The lightning dissipated, and Enel knelt down in front of Dulin. These two guys, please leave them to us. Kisara is gearing up. Let Kisara destroy them. Dulin raised his head, and Shishala dropped his words. Fortunately, someone was replacing Kisara to defend against the falling shells. Mahad, who was riding on the back of the flying dragon, raised the scepter in his hand, and a huge spherical shield was formed in an instant, directly covering the entire tree of omniscience. Then, all the shells that fell were blocked, and even bounced back directly in the next second. The cannonballs returning from the original path were like swallows returning to their nests, and even landed right on the mouth of the cannonballs where they started. And then there is boom 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 boom. On the sea in the distance, Japanese marine warships began to explode. Holy shield. Mirror force. What? Sakazuki looked back in astonishment. This guy bounced all the shells back. What ability is this? Stop him. Kuzan gritted his teeth even more, and the two ice halberds on his back condensed into shape, ice cube two thorny spears. But in the next second, the two ice spears were completely smashed by the two thunderbolts. Accompanied by the jumping thunder, a figure flashed and appeared in front of Kuzan. Yeah ha ha ha, your opponent is me. Ice B asterisk 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 D. Enel grinned. Just a few seconds ago, God sent down the oracle, and he said, that's up to you. So, it's time for their show next. It seems that we are really underestimated. Kuzan scratched his hair helplessly, looked at Enel and then at Kisara who was already standing in front of Sakazuki. Sakazuki, let's be more serious. Great eruption. There was no need for him to remind. The man whose personality was as explosive as his ability had already waved his fist at the girl in front of him without hesitation. The giant magma fist as huge as a hill roared out, carrying astonishing heat. It was about to crush the girl standing in front of her. Seriously, Sakazuki. Kuzan sighed in his heart. Then, I have to get serious. He thought so. But he hasn't made a move yet. The attack is already oncoming. Face the judgment. Enel's eyes became a little hollow. His right hand turned into a leaping thunder, and he swung it forward, and the majestic thunder turned into a beam of light and rushed towards Kuzan. Explosive pheasant's mouth. Kuzan also flicked his right hand, and the huge ice bird spread its wings and took flight. However, at the moment when the thunder and the ice bird were about to collide, the thunder in the black Baixiang suddenly refracted, and while avoiding the ice bird, it directly hit Kuzan's shame. Kuzan wanted to dodge, but there was no way. This thunder will follow. Wow! Kuzan screamed. He was blown away by the thunder, and crashed into the town far behind. He didn't understand why elementalization didn't work at all for this thunder. All he knows is that it hurts. What is this attack? Almost at the same time, the extremely hot magma fist shattered, and a ray of light pierced through it instantly. Kisara. Light kick. The white dragon girl directly entered the battle mode, with wings growing from her back and armor on her body. Her whole body was shining with light. Boomed towards Sakazuki like a shooting star. Dark Hound. Just in time. What Sakazuki likes most is the kind of opponent who has to fight him head-on. The peak of Devil Fruit's attack power. Lava Fruit, use your power now. Sakazuki blasted a fiery lava punch at the meteor. Chisara laughed and waved her fists, shoot it. Then she flapped her wings, and the person shot out again. When he condensed his body again, there was a ruins in front of him, and Kuzan sat up from the ruins rubbing his head. Black lightning radiated everywhere, and Haki's tore the surrounding earth. Or ask for flowers. Ask for a monthly ticket. Ask for an evaluation ticket. Boom. Enel also turned into a thunderbolt and disappeared in place. Enel grinned against Kuzan's apprehensive look. Is it us? Kisara. Pursue. Sakazuki's eyes widened suddenly. Great. Magma. Being destroyed. This is. Boom. Then. Yeah ha ha ha. There was another loud bang, and the air was pierced with circular traces, and another figure was blasted into the town, piercing through all the buildings along the way. The Underdog. Chapter 130 Sengoku Strikes. The town in the distance started a violent explosion. The four powerful men who could be called monsters no matter which corner of the sea they looked at had a fierce confrontation in this town. God, do you need my help? Mahad landed on the cursed dragon and asked respectfully. Never mind, neither Kisara nor Enel want anyone to interrupt their fight. Dulin said flatly, let them have fun. Yes, Mahad didn't say anything, just continued to maintain the holy shield. Maintaining the mirror power itself does not consume too much mana, the biggest consumption is at the moment when it encounters an attack, defense and counterattacks. Just bouncing some shells didn't put any pressure on mud at all. But now there are not many cannonballs, and the marines on the warships in the distance are not fools. After discovering that the cannonballs bombarding the Tree of Omniscience would be bounced back, they stopped attacking this side. Behind Dulin, Orvia, who was holding her daughter in her arms, was a little dazed. She also knew the three future stars of Marine. However, with such a powerful Marine, this boy has not even made a move himself, and just two subordinates are enough to match and even gain the upper hand. What a strong guy. Orvia froze. Why, what are you doing here in a daze? Don't you go carry books with your companions? Dulin didn't look back, just said lightly. Orvia licked her lips, and she suddenly whispered, my lord, can I ask you to take my child with you when you take those ancient books away? Mother. Frightened by the bombing, Robin, who put his arms around his mother's waist, raised his head in horror. Mom doesn't want me anymore. Orvia didn't care about her daughter's reaction at this time, she just said repeatedly, although Robin is young, she is already an official scholar, she even has the ability to interpret historical texts, she will definitely be of great use. And she's also demon fruit power. Surely it can help you. She is obviously a mother and loves her daughter very much, but now Orvia is like a clumsy businessman, trying hard to sell her daughter. Mother. Robin just looked up at his mother in a daze. We have just met, so is it time to part again? No, I don't want to be separated from my mother. The little girl hugged her mother's waist tightly and cried loudly, I want to be with my mother forever. Quote. Exclamation mark quote. Orvia froze. How could she want to be separated from her daughter? But there is no better way now. Unless, an idea came to Orvia's mind. However, how could this excellency agree? And what about the companions? Dulin didn't care about Orvia who was in entanglement, he just silently watched the battle in the distant city. Yeah ha ha ha. Thunder condensed in the sky, and Enel laughed loudly. After accepting the trial, you still dare to be an enemy of God's messenger. Ice B ********* D. You have committed the crime of being an enemy of God again. After voluntarily initiating a trial, the previous crimes will be written off. However, when the sinner commits the same crime again, the second judgment can naturally take place again. Kuzan's expression was particularly dignified. This guy is so tough. With the speed of thunder and lightning, he can't touch him when he doesn't want to confront him head on. And his abilities are so wrong. It doesn't matter if Haki can be attached to thunder, what's even more weird is that even if he uses Haki to resist thunder, he will still suffer damage. Once or twice is okay, after more times, a lot of internal injuries have been accumulated. Not to mention that this guy will occasionally send out a strange lightning strike that cannot be avoided at all and will definitely be hit. There was blood on the corner of Kuzan's mouth. This guy has exaggerated breasts. Yeah ha ha ha, Wan Lei. The thunder that filled the sky was already falling towards Kuzan below. Kuzan is fine, but on another battlefield in town, Sakazuki is having a tougher fight. White jet of destruction. The white dragon girl turned into light and rushed forward, and when Sakazuki raised his fist in response, he pushed forward with both hands. The brilliant light gathered into a huge beam of light, engulfing Sakazuki in an instant. Boom. The light went straight forward, penetrating everything along the way, and violent explosions continued to occur. Sakazuki, wrapped in haki, rushed out to the side. Before he could stand still, he felt the light from above. Kisara energy cannon. In the sky, Kisara raised her hands high, and a huge light cluster condensed on his hands. The dazzling light takes on a chaotic color after being infused with haki. Sakazuki's pupils constricted. The light cluster has been smashed down. Great eruption. Boom. The huge explosion swallowed several surrounding blocks, and the beam of light that soared into the sky directly blasted a hole in the canopy of the tree of omniscience above. Hey hey hey. After being blown away by an unavoidable thunderbolt again, Kuzan, whose body became somewhat delicate and dark, turned his head and looked to one side in disbelief. The brilliant beam of light made him hardly see other things. 0. Asking for flowers. What kind of battle is Sakazuki going through? Although I don't want to admit it. Enel threw a thunder dragon at him, but Kisara's strength is indeed on me. Is that girl called Kikisara? On the defensive, Kuzan mused. It's as strong as a monster. A group of people are young and outrageous. Mr. Sengoku, you seem to be in big trouble. I'm afraid, this is a group of monsters that seem to be as dangerous as the Roger Pirates. The battle continues. Enel relied on mobility to deal with Kuzan, using the real damage attached to judgment to continuously inflict severe injuries on Kuzan. On the other hand, Kisara opened up and closed, and Sakazuki, who was hitting with overwhelming force, retreated steadily. What is the situation now? Saul's town is behind a house near the Tree of Omniscience. He is confused now. Sakazuki and Kuzan were held back by the man's two subordinates. Now, are the scholars under the protection of that guy? Then should I go out? On Dulin's side, the books brought out by scholars have piled up in the open space outside the library to form a mountain. A mountain in the truest sense of the word. But this is still just the tip of the iceberg. The number of books preserved in the Tree of Omniscience is simply incalculable, at least more than 1 million. Scholars are still desperately moving. But Dulin was getting impatient. Almost. Dulin looked up. Brat. A certain man suddenly came from a distance, and his body swelled suddenly when he approached. I let you run away last time, this time, catch me without a fight. Brilliant golden light bloomed in an instant. The man with the afro directly turned into a huge gold Buddha at this moment. He raised his right palm, and the black lightning on his palm was jumping. Drink. Accompanied by angrily shouting, the Buddha waved his palm. Lightning was jumping, and a majestic shock wave was already roaring towards Dulin. The corners of Dulin's mouth curled up. Finally an interesting guy came. Holy shield reflector power. Mahad stood in front of Dulin, and he raised his staff. The shield is reshaped. Then, a magnificent wave descended, and the shield twisted. At last. Boom. The shock wave was bounced back. What? The Buddha widened his eyes. The shock wave he sent out had already swallowed him up. Chapter 131. The Phoenix spreads its wings and soars. Hey, Mr. Sengoku. Saul's eyes almost flew out of the eye sockets when he was huddled behind the house. When Mr. Sengoku came out of nowhere and turned into a huge golden Buddha, he was already inexplicably shocked. Even Admiral was dispatched in person. Isn't there no escape at all? But just at the moment when this thought came into being, Saul saw something that made him unbelievable. The shock wave sent by Mr. Sengoku was actually bounced back. Instead, he was blown away by himself. No way. How could such a thing happen? That's Sengoku, the Buddha. A super strong man who has led Marine as a pillar since before the Rocks era. It is an existence comparable to monsters like Roger Whitebeard Vice Admiral Garp. What is the situation now? God, this guy is amazing. Mahad said flatly, the strength is not much weaker than the Whitebeard I met in Wanokuni before. Certainly. 723, Dulin nodded slightly. Whitebeard and Sengoku, that's old enemies too. Of course that guy won't be defeated just like that. Sure enough, almost a second later, the brilliant golden light bloomed again, and the huge Buddha soared into the sky from the distant town, and then fell heavily on the open space in front of him. Who the hell are you guys? When the ground shook, Sengoku's golden eyes fixed on Mahad firmly. Then he looked at Dulin who was guarded by him at the rear. The difference in status is already visible at a glance. So, all the subordinates have such terrifying strength, what about the boy who is the leader? A strong sense of urgency surged in Sengoku's heart. This group of people is even more terrifying than originally expected. Mahad replied very plainly, I'm just a priest who serves God. God, priest. Sengoku knew that Lunaria's kid was a self-proclaimed god. Sure enough, he is also a subordinate. Whether gods or demons. Sengoku breathed a sigh of relief, clenched his fists tightly, and the black lightning had begun to flicker. Everyone must submit to justice. The man who has justice to rule the world is of course the holder of the Conqueror's haki. Madman. Mahad's voice turned cold. Whether it's justice or axiom, nothing can be above God. Then let you see the power of justice. After using the ability, Sengoku's size has swelled to the point where he even surpassed the Titan, but his speed is still ridiculously fast. The ground under his feet shattered instantly, and the Buddha turned into a stream of light. Since ranged attacks are bounced back, use your fists to do the talking. Mahad raised his staff, but one hand was on the staff. Let me have some fun, Mahad. Dulin said so. As you wish. Mahad immediately put down his staff, bowed and stepped back. The time limit for handling is until the end of this battle. Dulin stepped forward without looking back, but scholars have heard his words. So immediately began to move more desperately. At the same time. Brat, wrapped around the mighty Hockey's fist, it has already smashed towards Dulin. Dulin chuckled, held the void with his right hand, and then swung upwards. In an instant, the dead branch-like divine sword was pulled out of the void by him. And then there is. Bang! Leviathan collided with the giant Buddha's fist in the air, and amazing black lightning instantly filled the entire sky. The violent shock wave even blew away the houses on the edge of the town in the distance. As for the Tree of Omniscience, the books originally piled up here would also be blown away, but with a wave of Mahad's magic wand, an enchantment formed to block all the impact. More exaggerated things are yet to come. Above, the canopy of the Tree of Omniscience, which has been piled up for an unknown number of years, was suddenly blown upwards, all the branches were blown up, and the leaves were blown all over the sky. And then, cloud, split. Saul stared up at the sky dumbfounded. In the sky, a deep crack appeared in the middle of the clouds, and then the chicken swelled rapidly. Clouds, split. No, it's as if the sky has split open. Sengoku took 2 steps back with a bang. He exclaimed in disbelief, how is that possible? This level of hockey. How old is this kid? Is this something surprising? Dulin flicked Leviathan in his hand, and the Excalibur returned to the void again. Li Kong, finally able to do such a thing. Well, this shows that even with hockey alone, he already has the level of entry into the top powerhouse. But hockey is not important. Let's experiment next. Little devil, what do you mean? Watching Dulin put away his weapon, Sengoku frowned. He did remember that this kid's weapon was extraordinary, it could release a blazing flame that could attach to all objects. I won't be using it next. Dulin smiled and said, don't blink, Admiral Sengoku, just let you see it, it belongs to the power of God. God, Sengoku frowned. What an arrogant brat, what the hell are you talking about in front of yourself? Dulin just smiled, his wings vibrated, and he flew into the sky. Then, Spellcaster activates. The intersecting flames of yellow and red rushed out of his body, and his whole body was completely covered by the flames. Then, the huge wings spread, and the phoenix descended. Mahad knelt down at the first time, prostrated himself on the ground and began to pray. The god he believed in revealed his true face. Quote exclamation mark quote. Sengoku's eyes widened. Danger, danger. Every cell in the body is warning him. What appeared in front of his eyes at this time must be something terrifying and difficult to attach. What exactly is this ability? It just made him feel creepy. Sengoku had no time to think anymore. The huge flame bird has spread its wings. Stop looking down on people. Admiral Sengoku roared and clapped his right hand. The Conqueror's Haki and the Armament Haki were injected at the same time, and a majestic shock wave roared out. Hit. Without any deflection, and without any defense against his own attack, it literally hit this guy. Then, something horrible happened. The shock wave directly passed through this guy's body, and the huge firebird flew towards him without any pause. How come? Sengoku can't believe that elementals can't dodge Haki's attack. Did it hold up hard? The other hand can also be used. So the scale of the shock wave became even more astonishing. However, even so, he still couldn't touch the flaming bird of fire, as if he didn't exist in this world at all. The flame-wrapped Sengoku was already trembling and roaring. Wrap around powerful Haki's fist and blast upwards. My brain went blank. It's like the soul is going to be burned. The fire bird just passed through the Buddha's body, and then spread its wings and flew into the sky. But it's not over yet, the firebird has spread its wings again. Without any collision, the firebird passed through the fist and landed on Sengoku's body. The ability was released in an instant, and Sengoku staggered backwards in severe pain all over his body. When actively using this ability, as long as it is still in the duration, the phoenix does not need to be consumed now. Can't even think about it. What's this? There was no sound, but the flame instantly wrapped the Buddha's body. However, wow, this is the change brought about by Spellcaster. Sengoku growled, since special abilities don't work, use punches. A-hole. Firebird falls 3.2 times. Chapter 132 Burn it all. God Phoenix, the appearance of God's anger. A form that is immune to any damage and can burn both spirit and matter at the same time. The only downside is that it consumes an exaggerated level of physical strength. Even though Dulin's physical strength has been growing rapidly, as the strength of his ability increases, the consumption is also expanding simultaneously. Before getting the ability of Caster, Dulin still couldn't last long in this form. It can only be used as a nirvana, and it can be used to throw 2 moves at the critical moment of the battle. But after getting this special ability provided by Mahad, everything is different. The active effect of the caster is to continue to consume mental power and enter an over-limit state. In this state, no matter what moves are used, there will be no consumption. Although the mental power consumed to maintain the over-limit state is equally huge, it is much worse than maintaining the Phoenix state. Finally, the duration of the Phoenix state can be calculated in minutes. In addition to the duration, under the boost of the caster, even a strong man like Sengoku can hardly withstand a random blow from himself in this state. Dulin looked down at Admiral 05 Sengoku below, and the blow just now even knocked him out of his ability state. So, what about now? Open black lens bracket judgment close black lens bracket. Anchor Sengoku, and launch a sure-fire attack. Open black lens bracket destroy close black lens bracket. Let the flame that can burn the soul be covered with the ability to destroy, so that even the soul can be destroyed. Open black lens bracket domination close black lens bracket. Gain control over the flames and at the same time increase its calendar area. Next, this is the strongest catastrophe that I can initiate at this time. Still shaking all over, Sengoku raised his head in disbelief. This blow is definitely stronger than the one just now. What exactly is this? How could there be such a terrifying ability in the world? His own attack doesn't work at all, and he can't defend against his attack at all. Armored colors and Conqueror's defenses are as fragile as paper, and the soul seems to be ignited. In such a situation, thinking becomes an impossible thing. Escape. Now we can only retreat now. Can't beat this guy at all. The danger of this guy must be reported to the government. Sengoku turned into a black shadow and flew back almost instantly. It's too slow. Dulin thought so. Although he has now become a huge flame bird, don't underestimate the speed of the Lunaria tribe. Anyway, there is no need to defend in the Phoenix state. With just a flutter of wings, Dulin appeared behind Sengoku in an instant. What? Admiral of Headquarters looked back in disbelief, and what was reflected in his eyes was only the incomparably brilliant flame. A-hole. Roaring, Sengoku, knowing that he had nowhere to escape, swelled up again, turned into a huge golden Buddha, and headed towards Dulin with his huge fist. Boom. A second sun bloomed in the sky. The shining yellow and red flames turned into huge spiral fire pillars soaring into the sky, penetrating into the deepest part of the sky. Mr. Sengoku, Saul, who watched the whole battle, was completely stunned. How could such a thing happen? Mr. Sengoku was completely suppressed. Not even able to retreat and escape. Could there be such a powerful guy in the world? The flames gradually dissipated. The bird of flame flapped its wings lightly and floated in the sky. Well, it's not very pleasant to consume a lot of mental power, and now I feel a little dizzy. However, it is really a powerful ability. Thinking of this, Dulin could even use the form of the phoenix to continue fighting. But, it's a good thing you can bear it. Dulin looked down at the man below and said calmly. Sengoku, who was covered in charred black, was lying on the ground below, and strong heat was still rising from his body. His body was trembling, and his right hand was moving slightly. Barely supporting his body with his hands, Sengoku looked up at Dulin. But that's all. He couldn't even open his eyes very much, and he didn't make any sound when he opened and closed his mouth. Couldn't even stand up. After the soul is defeated, the body's defenses are also lax, and it can only usher in a devastating blow. Both mental and physical have reached their limits. However, he is still alive at last. Can you resist the fire of destruction by your own willpower? It's amazing. But that's all. Is even a guy like Sengoku vulnerable? Dulin thought so. So strong myself. Mr. Sengoku. Two figures flew over. A disgraced Kuzan and a bruised and mangled Sakazuki landed next to Sengoku. When Sengoku came to support, they perceived this through their knowledge and thought that the turning point had arrived, but they did not expect it to develop to this extent at all. God. Enel instantly condensed his body on the ground below Dulin. He said respectfully, sorry, I didn't stop that guy. Don't run away. Magma man. Hisara wants to destroy you. The white dragon girl is also spreading her wings. Sakazuki. Retreat. Kuzan roared loudly. Quote dot 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 exclamation mark quote dot. Sakazuki already had Sengoku on his back. Without hesitation, the two immediately used the shaving speed to escape the honey. Can't win. Absolutely impossible to win. Even Mr. Sengoku was defeated with no power to fight back. How could it be possible to win 80? Escape. Can only escape. God, I'm going to stop them. Enel volunteered. No need. The body of the huge firebird began to shrink, and Dulin turned into a blazing pyroman again. He held the void, and pulled out a flaming sword. Run away. Just run away. It doesn't matter if you run to the end of the world, because there is nowhere to run away. The flame sword was held high. Yellow and red flames spiraled and soared into the sky. Open black lens bracket domination close black lens bracket. Block it. Dulin swung his sword. The entangled flames turned into a torrent at this moment. Boom. Surging and surging. Unstoppable. Great eruption. Boom. Kuzan growled. The flame is already close at hand. Kuzan and Sakazuki, who were running to escape, looked back. Open black lens bracket judgment close black lens bracket. Frozen moment. Then, struggle, do your best, and survive. The spiral torrent of flames ran through the entire town in an instant. Open black lens bracket destroy close black lens bracket. The flames swept through everything, and the mighty torrent ran forward, running through the entire town, and then rushed into the sea, swallowing a dilapidated warship in the distance that had already been bounced back, and then disappeared in the depths of the sea. Place. Chapter 133 I like to collect beautiful things. Flames shot through the entire town. Buildings, rocks, land, everything is consumed by flames. The flames intertwined with yellow and red are burning fiercely at this moment. They will never stop burning until the energy contained in them is exhausted, and everything will be burned away. The flames on Dulin's body began to go out. He had already released the phoenix state and returned to his normal appearance. Leviathan in his hand disappeared into the void again. Dulin rubbed his head, it's almost here. Dizziness, mental energy consumption for some days. However, the test results were perfect. Spellcaster, the over-limit mode attached to this ability is really exaggerated. Until now, the Phoenix can finally say that it is no longer a costly move, but a state that can be maintained. In this state, even a strong person at the 4 Emperor's Admiral level can only end up being killed in the face of himself. In this case, the only person in this world worthy of my fear is that I am who doesn't know the depth. The guy's true face hadn't been drawn in the manga before time travel. It is impossible to know exactly what level he is. However, according to the routine of the boy manga, the later the boss is stronger, the final boss is often the strength of another dimension. Not to mention that guy still has a weapon that can destroy an island with a snap of his fingers. But don't worry. Anyway, I am not old or dead anymore, just slowly expand the territory and strengthen my strength. Between the vibrations of the wings, Dulin had returned to the outside of the Tree of Omniscience. In just a short while, scholars have piled more books here. However, this is still insignificant compared to the collection of books in the entire library. Time is up, Dulin said calmly, let's stop here. It was agreed before. The faces of the scholars who were busy carrying the books froze instantly. The Lord. One academic also wanted to ask Dulin for time again. But Dr. Clover immediately stopped him, and the old man said in a deep voice, it's enough, this Lord has given us enough help, don't go any further. The scholars fell silent. Then, I'll leave it to you. The old doctor bowed solemnly to Dulin. Please. The scholars bowed deeply at the same time to express their gratitude. Although strictly speaking, Dulin's behavior is of course a kind of predatory. However, as long as you can save some books, that is the best thing. Dulin just smiled, let them come down. It's a bunch of interesting people. If they beg themselves at this time, they have a chance. But they don't. Enel disappeared from behind him in an instant. Then soon, the huge ship slowly descended from the sky. Dulin stepped on the ground lightly, 2 flames spread out from under his feet, drew 2 circular arcs, circled the entire mountain of books piled up here, and finally met at the other end, forming a circle together shape. Flying Thunder God Guide Thunder. Even the move that can transfer the tailed beast bomb is really overkill for transferring this pile of books. But it is indeed quite appropriate. An enchantment was formed in the middle of the connected rings, like any door, and the books began to sink. At the same time, books began to appear out of thin air on the sun ship descending from above. When the scholars saw this scene, they couldn't help smiling. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Dr. Clover bowed to Dulin again and again, and then he turned around neatly, it's not over yet. Everyone, let's throw the rest of the books into the water quickly. The Tree of Omniscience grows in a small lake. If all the books are thrown into the water, it is possible to barely save some from the Buster Call. Speaking up, Dulin turned around. The Buster Call is still going on. I have made such a commotion, and the warships on the sea are still continuing to shell. They are really persistent, but they probably don't know what happened on this island yet. However, this is exactly what I expected. It's just that I don't know if that big head will come here after I make a big fuss here. Well, it doesn't matter if you don't come, that guy should already be in Punk Hazard at this time, and it's a big deal to spend some effort to go there later. Scientists are still very important. Gone back. Dulin stretched himself. The purpose of this trip has basically been achieved, and there is no reason to stay here any longer. Dulin looked back and looked at Orvia, who was still struggling, and Robin, who was holding her waist firmly. You come with us, he said so, incomparably flat. Orvia had a moment of excitement, and of course she was very happy to be able to leave with her daughter. But in the next second, her eyes dimmed. All the companions stayed behind to save the books, how could she leave alone? Just let Robin go with you, Orvia said so loudly. She has already made up her mind to dedicate her life to history. I'm not asking for your opinion. Dulin said lightly, I like to collect beautiful things. Especially the plot characters. Orvia was slightly taken aback, and then her face turned slightly red for an instant. How did this young man say such words so frankly? If I had given birth to Robin a few years earlier, maybe Robin would be about the same age as him. Orvia. Suddenly, Dr. Clover's voice came from behind. Orvia turned around and saw the doctor smiling and saying, follow this lord and leave. Robin finally met you, and you don't want her to lose her mother again, do you? Ohara stops here, but for history, for 100 years of exploration of the blank can never be right. It's up to you and Robin to keep our dream alive. Moreover, it seems that it is not possible to refuse. Orvia was slightly taken aback. Dulin chuckled. Of course Dulin would not stay here and wait foolishly. The flames under the feet have spread out again, forming a circle that includes several people. Orvia is also very nervous, after all, this is a group of pirates. Mother. Grateful. Take them to change clothes. Robin was better, but his clothes were messed up with tears and snot. The sudden change made Robin very uncomfortable, and she hid in her mother's arms. Dulin and others, together with Orvia and Robin's mother and daughter began to sink at the same time. The scene in front of them suddenly changed, Li Hao, and they appeared on the deck of the solar ship in the next moment. Tianyu stepped forward, smiled and said, "Please come with me. The materials of ancient technology and the mother and daughter of Robin are both in hand, of course they are returning. Orvia is a fugitive, and his body is so dirty that he can't see it. Although it doesn't show aggressiveness, is it really easy to get along with?" Orvia thanked her softly, took her daughter and followed her into the cabin. Dulin said, "Fresh and wash well. It's one." At the same time, Dulin ordered, "Mahad, Enel, you stay here for now and wait for someone here." The Flying Thunder God guided mine was launched again. Chapter 134 Shocking Government. Consecration of Orvia. Ohara was destroyed after all. Once the Buster Call is launched, it will never stop until it completely destroys the target. Ohara has been blasted into a white space, and everything on the island has been destroyed. However, Marine did not feel the slightest sense of honor because of this incident. On the contrary, Marine was in great chaos at this time. The closest Marine base to Ohara. "Doctor. Where is the doctor? Come here. How is it going?" Kuzan and Sakazuki are in slightly better condition, but they are also badly burned and don't seem to be regaining consciousness at all. And Mr. Sengoku. What happened to Mr. Sengoku? His body was almost scorched, and his organs were exhausted. Although he is still alive, he will probably. Damn, what happened at that time? That guy, what did he do? Marine Admiral fell into a dying state, and the two future stars were also hovering on the line of life and death. But the Marines didn't even know what was going on. Previously Kuzan Vice Admiral called to reveal the identity of the enemy, but he couldn't figure out what he did. How could he do such a thing? All the Marines can do now is desperately treating them. However, something even more dire happened. What's going on? The injuries of Kuzan Vice Admiral and Sakazuki Vice Admiral should have stabilized. Why doesn't 333 show any signs of waking up? Is there any hidden injury that I haven't noticed? Absolutely not. We have conducted the most thorough inspection. The two of them are very strong. After stabilizing their injuries, there should be no problem. What is going on here? Why can't I wake up? Word quickly reached Naval Headquarters. What? Kong, the man who was the Marshal of the Marine at the time smashed the desk in front of him after getting the news. You said Sengoku is still in a near-death state, Sakazuki and Kuzan are also unconscious. What the hell happened? What a combination of a Marine Admiral and two alternate Admirals. This combat power is even enough to go to war with monsters like Kaido Charlotte Linlin in New World. That kid, what's the matter? Do the Lunaria tribe actually possess such power? In Ohara, what the hell happened? I'll call the most excellent doctor there right away. Make sure to keep Sengoku and their safety. After finishing the call, Marshal Kong sat on the office chair and fell silent for a moment. What kind of monster is the little ghost named Du? Sengoku's strength has even surpassed himself, and he is a well-deserved leader in the AFAG army. Even if he looks at the entire sea, he is a well-deserved top powerhouse. It turned out to be like this now. Damn it, Sora felt a headache. The era of great pirates started by Roger, the B****************, D, was already troublesome enough, but now such a scary guy has come out. The reason why that guy appeared in Ohara, even if it is unbelievable, there is only one reason. Ancient literature, historical text. For the first time, Sora felt a little dazed. The second Roger pirates. What will this era look like next? Anyway, let's report to the five elders first. So, the news was reported again, and it was five elders' turn to be shocked. How could such a thing happen? Does that brat actually have this level of power? Even if he is not alone, even if Bullet and even more people are involved, their threat must be re-examined. Another B***********, D who has something to do with the ancient text of the historical text. Damn it, how long has Roger been dead, and now there is a scum who can keep pace with them and even be more difficult. We must not sit idly by anymore. Let's CP focus on Wano-kuni, and we must find out their real situation as soon as possible. When necessary, I think I can report to that adult. In Five Elders' office, it was a little quiet day and night. Let's talk about it at that point. Now we should consider Sengoku and the others. Sengoku is the next Marine Marshal, Sakazuki and Kuzan are also sure to be Admiral candidates, they must not let this happen. Send the best doctor there, if it really doesn't work, let that fellow Vegapunk do it. The world's first scientist, of course, is also the most outstanding doctor. The inside of the world government was violently turbulent because of the Ohara incident. At this time, Dulin was on his way back to the empty sanctuary of Revolving Heaven. Back in time to a little earlier. Solar boat. On the deck, the Sun Knights are working hard to organize the books that fill the entire deck. And on the top terrace, Dulin was lazily lying on the large deck chair blowing the sea breeze, and Kisara curled up on the side and fell asleep. I don't know if anyone can wake up in the end. Not to mention the flesh, but the souls of those three guys were severely burned. Especially Sengoku, who even ate his own 3 attacks. If he can survive intact, then I have to say a word of admiration to him. God, they're done grooming. At this time, Tianyushi led the Orvia mother and daughter who had put on new clothes and walked over. Dulin looked away. The mother and daughter are wearing the robe style maid attire unique to maids. Robin is wearing a specially cut children's style, which is still a little too big, and the hem almost covers her feet, especially her short hands and feet, which is quite cute like a penguin. Compared with the lovely daughter, Orvia presents a completely different style. The thin robe covers her body, and Linglong Futu's figure can't be hidden at all. The gourd-like figure makes people unable to take their eyes off just by looking at it. The contrast between bulges and depressions is extremely visually striking. Orvia lowered her head. White's hair was still a little damp, and a few strands were still sticking to her rosy cheeks, making one couldn't help but want to help her get rid of them. She took her daughter's hand, and her already tall chest was heaving violently. After that, I'll leave it to you. Orvia bowed deeply towards Dulin. When she bent over, the soft clothes drooped due to gravity, perfectly outlining her slender waist and the part that swelled further down. The corners of Dulin's mouth curled up slightly. He propped his face with his right hand, and said softly, "Come here." Orvia shuddered. Then she stood up straight. In any case, there is only now. It's just that Robin. She glanced at her daughter. God, she tentatively asked, can you let Robin leave first? Robin looked at his mother's back in puzzlement, not knowing why his mother asked him to leave. Dulin was unmoved and just watched Orvia quietly. Orvia held her chest and took a deep breath. She felt a little sad. Nothing can be done. Robin, sorry. She walked forward slowly and walked in front of Dulin. Dulin waved at her. Orvia bit her lip, then slowly lowered her body. Dulin stretched out his hand towards her. The woman's pupils trembled, but she tried her best to remain motionless. For Robin. Then, she saw flames. Between the youths called gods, flames were splashing. Dulin said with some amusement, accept it, Orvia. Anyway, it wouldn't be in front of an 8-year-old child. Orvia blushed instantly. Chapter 135 3 billion. Vegapunk. It was still very early, but on the top floor of the solar ship, in the room belonging to the god, Orvia had already woken up early. She didn't get up immediately, but after opening her eyes and seeing the scene in front of her, she still couldn't help but blushed. Although it was true that he was not in front of Robin, he still did not escape in the end. Yesterday, the god of the young man who was reading a book said to her very calmly, tonight, you also come to sleep. His tone was as flat as if he was asking what he had for breakfast this morning. Of course Orvia couldn't refuse. God was lying beside her at this moment. Even in a deep sleep, it still exudes the beauty of a god. Yes, beautiful. Please forgive Orvia for thinking that this is the only word I can use to describe the boy in front of me. It is like the embodiment of all the beauty in the world, and there is no flaw at all. Even if the whole body is naked, it will not make people feel bored. On the contrary, it will make people feel the solemnity sacredness from the heart. Just like the sun, just existing here is already the word dazzling itself. To be honest, even though there were coercion factors in it, Orvia somehow felt that she was taking advantage of herself. Compared with this god, I am really too small and ugly. It's still ridiculous. Orvia glanced at the white-haired girl lying on the god's chest, sleeping soundly. It's Lord Kisara. Miss Tianyushi said that this Lord Kisara is God's right-hand man and one of the strongest cadres in the Sky Sanctuary. By the way, Miss Tianyushi is now lying on the other side of God. Orvia heard from her before that she also has a pair of sons. So Orvia doesn't understand why God would treat women like them. However, it can only be like this now. If only sacrificing himself can get Robin to grow up safely, then this is actually nothing. And, looking carefully at the side face of the god, Orvia pursed her lips. It doesn't seem too difficult to accept. But immediately, Orvia shook her head severely. Her cheeks flushed with shame. Orvia, how can you be so shameless? Everything is for Robin, for Ohara's legacy. However, she couldn't help taking a peek. What a divine and handsome boy, even his sleeping face is so radiant. Of course Dulin didn't know that the archaeologist's big sister sleeping next to him was in a huge entanglement and confusion. Even if he knew, he wouldn't care. The Orvia mother and daughter have been planted by him, and she will soon no longer feel entangled and confused. To be honest, this method is quite despicable, but Dulin doesn't care. He doesn't yearn for a sincere love, he just simply wants to have all kinds of beauty. As long as it is enough, he doesn't care how the process is. It didn't take too long for the solar ship to return to the Sky Sanctuary. This is, the Sky Sanctuary. A place ruled by gods. When the Orvia mother and daughter looked down at the bye-bye sea from the solar boat, the mother and daughter, who were originally very quiet, showed the same look of surprise. Ocean of clouds. It is so beautiful. Then when the boat docked outside the temple and everyone disembarked, the mother and daughter fell into the beast again. Historical text. Looking at the majestic stone placed outside the temple, Orvia couldn't help but exclaim. Is there actually this piece of historical text here? Want to see? I'd love to see what's written on it. But before she could open her mouth to ask, the sound of explosions rang out. God, welcome back. Orvia saw a well-dressed birdman standing up and walking quickly. After respectfully bowing to God, the guy said with regret, I should drop everything and go to Ohara with you. You must have done something amazing there. The whole world is blown up now. Oh, Dulin raised his eyebrows slightly. The world government has just published your latest arrest warrant. Morgans, who had just returned from New World, said seriously, your reward has tripled in one breath, and now it is 3 billion Baileys. Even if you look at the whole world, among those who are still active at sea, only Whitebeard has a higher bounty than you. The whole world was indeed shocked. The world government used Buster Call to destroy the famous archaeological island of Ohara. This news is enough to shock the world, and archaeologists all over the world are shocked by it. Then people knew that the Lunaria clan, who had offered a bounty of 1 billion for the first time, was involved in this incident, and even his bounty went directly to 3 billion. It's really hard not to think about what happened in Ohara. 0. Asking for flowers. The reason given by the government to destroy Ohara was that the archaeologists there wanted to revive the dangerous ancient weapon. So of course, it must be related to ancient weapon, right? Ancient weapon. The stuff in Legendary that could destroy the world. It is estimated that I want to guide in this direction. Morgans giggles and wants you to be targeted by careerists at sea. Quote. Dulin just smiled. They're not wrong either. Pluton is almost a certainty in his hands. Although Poseidon Shirahoshi has not yet been born, the problem should not be too big. The government propaganda is true. But it doesn't matter. Dulin is more concerned about what's next for Ohara than this matter. Time began to pass. The storm caused by Ohara and Dulin has also gradually subsided, but in the government, especially in the interior of the marine, the storm is far from stopping. A certain marine base in West Blue. Wake up. Kuzan Vice Admiral and Sakazuki Vice Admiral wake up. The Marines were excitedly running around telling each other. In the ward, the two men sat up blankly, their expressions very dazed. It seems that they don't know what happened, and they seem to be unable to think. As expected of Dr. Vegapunk. What no one else can do, only he can do. What about the doctor? Since Sakazuki Vice Admiral and Kuzan Vice Admiral have been awakened, it means Mr. Sengoku is fine, right? The doctor said that Mr. Sengoku's problem is much more serious than those two, and it is not so easy to solve. He wants to get rid of it to find inspiration. Huh, inspiration. No one in Marine thought that the man who claimed to be looking for inspiration went there to look for inspiration. Go, Hala. There are no ruins left. Men in suits and oversized heads roam Ohara, looking out over the ruins. The tree of omniscience. He raised his head, and the big tree that should have covered the sky and the sun had disappeared at this time, so many books were burned like this. This is a rare crime in human history. He jumped up and down angrily. Then, the man froze. He came to the lake beyond the tree of omniscience. He saw the lake, which was almost full of books. Chapter 136 Titan. Dorag, capture the Vegapunk. Almost instantly, Vegapunk couldn't hold back his tears. He is not young anymore, he is in his 40s this year, and he has been on the sea for many years, and he has long been used to the ups and downs at sea. But at this moment, he still couldn't restrain the emotion in his heart. It is completely conceivable. When Buster Call arrived and the shells flew by, the archaeologists living on the island desperately threw all the books into the lake. Even if this island will be destroyed, even if their lives come to an end, at least these books, which are the crystallization of human civilization, will be passed down. This is inheritance. No, these books cannot be left to soak in water like this. They will still be damaged. Gotta find a way to get them out. But at this time Vegapunk made a mistake. The books piled up in the water at this time are simply incalculable. It is absolutely impossible for him alone to get it, and he must rely on the strength of other people. But whose strength can you use? You can't go back to the world government and ask them to help. At this time, Vegapunk suddenly saw figures appearing on the opposite side of the lake. Big exaggerated silhouette. Titan. 513. Vegapunk couldn't help being a little surprised. Why is there a Titan here? And it's not just one or two, it's a group of Titans. What shocked him even more happened. Those Titans who walked to the shore took out fishing nets and sprinkled them into the lake. Come on. They chanted slogans to encourage each other, and then dragged the fishing nets to net the books in the water. Are you here for these books? Vegapunk is completely confused. Of course, the Titans are famous all over the world for their powerful force, and the Kingdom of Titan is the strongest country in the world. The bravery and combativeness of the Titans is well known to the world. They are a race that can start a duel because of some insignificant things. But I have never heard that the Titans still like to read. What the hell is going on? Vegapunk couldn't help walking towards the shore over there, trying to figure out what was going on. Stop. Who are you? But before it even had time to get close, Vegapunk was spotted by the vigilant Titans. The Titans who were holding fishing nets instantly picked up their weapons and surrounded Vegapunk. Do not misunderstand. Vegapunk, who claims to be a brain school, immediately raised his hands. I'm just curious, why do you come here? He pointed to the books in the lake. If the world government finds out about this matter, even your Titans will have a hard time. This has nothing to do with you. The Titans were aggressive, also, as long as it's kept secret. The corner of Vegapunk's mouth twitched. Sure enough, they are normal Titans, so they are going to kill themselves so that they will never be able to leak secrets. But at this time, an exclamation suddenly sounded from behind the Titans. Isn't this Vegapunk? Vegapunk was stunned for a moment, then he turned his head in disbelief and looked behind the Titans. This voice is. Behind the Titans, a man wrapped in a cloak walked quickly. That's a normal human being. He tore off the hood on the top of his head, and the iconic clover-like hair couldn't wait to pop out. Dr. Clover. Vegapunk is dumbfounded, so you are still alive. He has had several encounters with Dr. Clover. Not very familiar, but at least not unfamiliar. How is this man who was supposed to be wiped out along with Ohara in Buster Call still alive? Haha. Mr. Saul saved us. Dr. Clover looked back, and looked at a titan who was also hidden in a huge cloak. The man nodded towards Vegapunk. Hey, this is a secret, please don't reveal it, Doctor. Vegapunk couldn't help nodding. What happened to Ohara that day? After Dulin and others left, scholars continued to carry books. When all the books were thrown into the water, the tree of omniscience was almost broken. Scholars had already closed their eyes and waited for death. But this time a titan named Saul stood up. He took the scholars on board the raft he had prepared earlier. Originally, it was almost impossible to escape by boat during the launch of Buster Call, and Marine was not that stupid. But the situation was special that day. The battle that took place on the island had already made Marine feel like a cool official. They even have to allocate a large part of their troops to search and rescue Sengoku and others on the island. So there is a gap here. Sao Luo successfully escaped with the scholars. They went to Al-Baf, and immediately persuaded a group of titans to come and help bring back the books thrown into the water. I see. Vegapunk let out a long sigh of relief. What an unlucky million cans. The scholars of Ohara are still alive, so the search for the truth will not stop. However, that's when Vegapunk and Dr. Clover exchanged pleasantries. It should be him. Suddenly there was an indifferent voice from behind. Dr. Clover's face changed when he heard the words, and he looked up in disbelief. Vegapunk also turned around in astonishment. What they saw were two figures who appeared over there at some unknown time. It's you, Dr. Clover has subconsciously exclaimed. Of course he knew them both. The two of three who followed the young god before. How are they still stuck in Ohara? Enel looked at Vegapunk carefully. God said it's a big head that we can recognize just by looking at it. Although the heads of the titans are also big, I think it should refer to him. Vegapunk's head was so out of balance that it was almost bigger than his body. He is a paramesha brain fruit capable person with unlimited brain capacity. But as the recorded knowledge continues to increase, his head will continue to expand. When it comes to big heads, everyone who sees him will subconsciously take their seats. Also, he is indeed called Vegapunk. Enel added what he heard. Who are you? The titans were already shouting angrily. What's going on? How come there are so many inexplicable guys running out of this deserted island? No, calm down. Saul's forehead was covered with cold sweat. He hurriedly stood up to stop the violent titans. If there is a fight now, it will be over. How could the titans win over the two men in front of them? The guy who manipulates the lightning can even wrestle with Kuzan. And the man in the black robe even bounced back Mr. Sengoku's attack. These two guys are monsters among monsters. If you really want to fight, you will be wiped out in an instant. Mahad didn't care about the reactions of the titans. He just stepped forward and stretched out his hand towards Vegapunk. I've been waiting for a long time, Dr. Vegapunk. Our god wants to see you. Please come with us. God. Vegapunk laughed dryly. The visitor was not kind. I don't think I'm old enough to go to heaven to meet God. Without further ado, Enel turned into an electric light, and in the next instant he appeared directly in front of Vegapunk. You just need to follow us honestly. After waiting here for so long, I finally got this guy, so of course I have to send him to God right away. Vegapunk subconsciously took a step back. Not good, I just wanted to come here to present a bouquet of flowers to Dr. Clover. Why now I seem to be unlucky. But having said that, are these two guys here specially waiting for me? How did they know they were coming to this place? No, it seems that now is not the time to think about this matter. It seems that there is no way to escape. Vegapunk, it looks like you need a little help. There was wind gathering not far away, and then a figure appeared on the boulder in front of him. Hey, you are. Vegapunk wonders again, Tarag. Why are all the weird guys here? Mahad turned his head, his brow furrowed slightly. It's not an easy guy. Enel. Drago instantly turned into the wind, chasing after Enel's back. Enel has great trust in Mahad. He is a man above himself, the number one of the Knights of God. Wow, watching Vegapunk being kidnapped, he couldn't accept it. Mahad pointed his wand obliquely at the ground, with a calm expression on his face. Mahad raised his wand, and the same violent whirlwind whizzed out, directly colliding with the wind of Drago's incarnation. Mahad raised the wand in his hand at 2.8, you take Vegapunk first, and I will deal with this guy. He frowned. It seemed that he couldn't catch up with the man in front of him without breaking through. But, then leave it to you. Whirlwind. Vegapunk only had time to scream, and then the sound was already far away in an instant. He also has some friendship with Vegapunk, and once invited the guy to join his team. Drago, who also just wanted to come to this island to pay homage, frowned. Enel dodges and directly grabs Vegapunk's shoulders, and then the wings of thunder and lightning behind him condense into shape, and the whole person has already soared into the sky during the vibration. Between the howling wind, Drago's body condensed. Do not enter. Chapter 137 Mahad vs Dorag. Dorag's expression was not relaxed. Even if it was just a momentary fight, it was enough to understand that the man in front of him was absolutely extraordinary. Besides, this guy just used wind. Is it a devil fruit ability similar to myself? But he didn't hesitate much, his body was already flying forward like the wind, Dragon Claw Fist. Although it is said to be a fist, it actually has nothing to do with the fist. Drago's right arm swelled into a spiral gust, biting towards Mahad's like a blue dragon. Attack neutralized. The expression on Mahad's face didn't change, and he pushed his staff forward. A hole with a red border instantly appeared in the space ahead. All the howling wind was sucked in by this hole, and did not bring along any other waves. What? Drago frowned. What exactly is this ability? The curse of the hexagram. Oh 5. Mahad pointed with his wand. Under Drago's feet, a ring-shaped magic circle has been formed, and the patterns of hexagrams are staggered. Can't move. The body is bound. Again, what exactly is this ability? Is this really Devil Fruit's ability? But Drago is certainly not a weak person, so it is naturally impossible to be defeated like this. He directly turned into the wind, and he had already escaped from the magic circle in an instant. Mahad frowned slightly. The six-pointed star's curse can only restrain people, but it can't suppress their abilities. Not very effective for Logia. In this case, Chain of Demons. Cavities suddenly bloomed in the void, and chains shot towards Drago. This time it is the magic that can make the bound people unable to use their abilities. Storm Dragon King. But this time the magic has been unable to touch the opponent. Dorag, who turned into a gust of wind and soared into the sky, threw his punches down hard. His arm has turned into a wildly spinning gust of wind, piercing through the air like an electric drill. The storm, like a slash swung by a great swordsman, slanted down from above at this moment. The chains issued by Mahad were completely torn apart in an instant. He is like a boat in a tsunami, facing the sudden natural disaster alone. Holy Shield Mirror Power. Mahad remained unmoved, raised his staff high, and performed traditional arts again. The translucent spherical protective cover took shape again, and then trembled in the hurricane that came from the cleansing. Then, the storm was instantly bounced back. What? In a short period of time, Logger has been shocked too many times. What the hell is going on with this man? With so many completely different moves, is he really Demon Fruit power? He was blown into the wind by his own attack. Black Magic Wave. At the tip of the staff, a black sphere was condensed into shape, entangled with Black's electric light, and in the next second, it was already shooting towards Drago like a ray. After adding Hockey to the magic, while increasing the power, of course it can also cause damage to Logia's ability users. Dragon's Breath. In the storm, Dorag swung his fist. Boom. A huge explosion swept across the sky, and the violent wind caused even the titans who were watching the battle couldn't stop falling back. What level of fighting is this? A titan exclaimed in disbelief. What level of monsters are these two guys? If they were involved, they would probably be melted instantly. Amidst the howling wind, Mahad had already rushed into the sky on the back of the yellow flying dragon. Just like Mage in Legendary, Drago was swept by the strong wind, and he couldn't help sighing when he saw Mahad riding on the back of the flying dragon. At least, definitely not Demon Fruit power. Mahad turned his head slightly. Enel was no longer visible in the sky. The stalling effort should have been enough. Mahad took a deep look at Drago. This is indeed a very powerful opponent, but unfortunately, now is not a good time to decide the winner. The cursed dragon spread its wings and soared high, and galloped back with Mahad in an instant. Don't even think about leaving. Dorag doesn't know what the opponent's plan is. He instantly turned into a strong wind and chased him away. But that's about it. Mahad looked back and raised his wand. Whirlwind. The gust of wind roared again, directly blocking Mahad's way forward again. Well, Drago, who broke free from the strong wind, frowned. The man riding the dragon is already far away in the sky. Do you want to keep chasing? It's no longer necessary. Dorag sighed. Dr. Vegapunk must have been out of reach. Even if he continued to catch up and fight that guy, it wouldn't make much sense. That guy is very strong, it is absolutely impossible to defeat him easily, and he can't stop him from escaping. He turned into a wind and appeared in front of the titans. He looked at Dr. Clover. Doctor, do you know those two people? Can you briefly introduce them to me? Are those two powerful people still someone's subordinate? It is unimaginable. Dr. Clover nodded lightly. Okay. 487. The doctors could only sigh. They do not understand that when Vegapunk speaks of spirit, he refers to the soul, not the mind. There is also Sengoku Admiral. The only way to wake him up is to rely on the doctor. People are indeed awakened, but their intelligence seems to have been greatly affected. Yeah, why haven't you come back? Although Sakazuki Vice Admiral and Kuzan Vice Admiral have woken up, their thinking ability seems to be greatly affected. In a certain ward, several doctors surrounded two Vice Admirals who had just woken up. Later, the Marine base that is very close to Ohara. The two Vice Admirals looked at each other blankly and with some difficulty. What should I do? Dr. Vegapunk said they were devastated mentally. Sakazuki Vice Admiral, Kuzan Vice Admiral, can you read the words on this paper? Doctor, come back soon. But where did the doctor go? Marine is the pillar. Mr. Sengoku has become a vegetable, and Vice Admiral, the two future stars, has become mentally handicapped. Why hasn't Dr. Vegapunk come back yet? Where the hell has he gone? Mahad quickly caught up with Enel, and the two started to return with Vegapunk. They held a piece of paper in their hands and asked cautiously. The doctors are a little hard to understand. Mental shock. Is it a broken relationship? Or something else? Chapter 138. Meet Vegapunk for the first time. Invention Project. The Sanctuary of the Sky above the Bye-Bye Sea. A yellow flying dragon is flapping its wings forward. Is it actually on Sky Island? Vegapunk carefully stood on the back of the flying dragon, looking at the scene below. The size of this flying dragon is not too big, and it is still a bit too reluctant to carry three people on its back at the same time. The three of them were almost squeezed together. Fortunately, the dragon of the curse was very powerful and could easily lead the three of them flying in the air. The lair of these two people is actually on Sky Island. Who can imagine this? In this case, it will be difficult for the government to find itself. After all, although the government has its own life card, but this time, in order to avoid being found out, he went to Ohara, so he didn't bring his life card. Although the life card can guide the direction, it does not directly point to the owner of the life card. Rather, the shredded life cards will attract each other to guide the direction. That is, the government will not know where it has been taken. It's fine if it's Qinghai, but the problem is on Sky Island. Who can find themselves here? Of course Enel and Mahad didn't know what Vegapunk was thinking, they just silently confirmed the direction pointed by the pointer and adjusted the direction of flight. Yes, pointers. The eternal pointer to the island of the gods. The island of the gods is also a link in Qinghai's magnetic chain. After using the record pointer to leave Alabasta, the pointer will point to the sky when you reach the sea area near Gaia Island. It is because the island of the gods brought the magnetic field that originally belonged to the original Gaia Island to the sky. So of course, it is also possible for dogs to make permanent pointers on this island. In this way, there is no need to worry about getting lost after a long voyage. After arriving at Beibaihai, the island of gods is not far away. Soon, the island that still maintained a lush scene appeared in front of the eyes of the three of them. Is there such a sky island? Like everyone who has never been to the sky sanctuary, Vegapunk was also deeply shocked by the sights he saw. The sky island in his cognition, of course, is also the kind of island that is completely made up of island clouds. It is completely different from the island covered with dense vegetation in front of me. Mahad and Enel didn't care about this guy's astonishment, and the cursed dragon landed directly on the square outside the temple. Then, is that the lamp of Shandora in Legendary? Of course, Vegapunk noticed the huge golden clock at the end of the square at the first sight. The big talker Roland once mentioned in his nautical diary, the huge golden bell guarded by the people of Gaia Island. It should be said that it is Vegapunk, not only has extraordinary attainments in science, but also has great knowledge in the aspect of historical legendary, and immediately recognized the authentic body of this golden bell. Could it be that this is Gaia Island? Vegapunk immediately made such a guess. There is a lot of useful and useless knowledge stored in his brain, including various sea charts hundreds of years ago. A little comparison shows that the current Gaia Island is missing a big piece compared to hundreds of years ago. Now that it thinks of Gaia Island, Vegapunk immediately thinks of the huge soaring currents that often occur near Gaia Island. Roland wasn't lying. Gaia Island may really have a golden town, but it was sent to the sky by the rushing ocean current. And now, this incomplete part of Gaia Island is occupied by someone. Vegapunk was lifted off the cursed dragon's back by Enel. He didn't resist either, but just quietly looked at the golden clock. After seeing the big stone inlaid on the gold base, his pupils shrank slightly. History text. Linked to Ohara, there's even a historical text here. Welcome back. A man has already come up to meet him. The leader of the Knights of the Sun, Frame said with a smile, God is waiting for you. Well, let's go see God right away. Enel nodded slightly. God. Vegapunk finally knows whose hands he has fallen into. Although he doesn't know Enel, he knows that there is indeed a guy who claims to be a god in the sea recently, and he is even responsible for Sengoku's current misery. Is it that guy again? Vegapunk even sighed a little in his heart, that guy is really professional in embarrassing the government. Soon, Vegapunk was taken to the temple, and then he saw the god. Sure enough, it was him. Vegapunk looked curiously at the boy sitting on the throne above. The real person is more handsome than the wanted poster. It's really like a god. Vegapunk. Dulin looked down at the man below with interest. I've been waiting for you for a long time. Lol, really? Vegapunk laughed dryly. It's really an honor. People have to bow their heads under the eaves. The dream of benefiting mankind has not been fulfilled, and he does not want to die here in vain. Work for me then, Vegapunk. Dulin said as a matter of course, become my researcher. Sure enough, it was because of this. Vegapunk has no surprises about this. Of course, the purpose of doing something against him, a genius scientist, is only because of this. Vegapunk raised his hand and scratched his head in distress. I personally don't have any opinions, but my research is very expensive. If it wasn't for the research funding, I wouldn't have been included in the world government so easily. Funds will never be short of you. Dulin said flatly, you just need to do the research I've given you. Not bragging. Dulin has indeed never worried about money since time travel. After all, on the first day of crossing, he occupied Burka Island and was crowned as a god, and then even harvested the golden land after seizing the domain of the gods. But now, Dulin, who holds the Sky Sanctuary and the Empty Gate Sea area in his hands, has only a few countries, Joudas, in his hands, but not a lot of money. There is absolutely no problem with the funds to support Vegapunk research. That's all right. Vegapunk grinned. God, I can't wait to get to work. Where's my lab? It can be seen that this guy does not have any loyalty to the government at all, and he immediately smiled after receiving Dulin's funding guarantee. After all, where to work is not a job, is it? As long as you can do research, then everything is fine. Moreover, there is no other choice now. The laboratory still needs to be prepared. Dulin said casually, you tell Frame what equipment and materials you need, and I will send them to you no matter what. Please leave it to me, Shen Leng. Fram bowed respectfully. Vegapunk nodded slightly. Then, God, what do you need me to study? The corner of Dulin's mouth curled slightly. You are very good at artificial devil fruit. Chapter 139 The Conception of the Zone Army. Vegapunk and Tom Mentor. Artificial devil fruit. Vegapunk froze for a moment. This god really knows himself. He even knows his favorite work. God, it's not easy to copy devil fruit. Vegapunk's attitude can be described in awe, and he can already call God very smoothly. Zone devil fruit is okay. It's not difficult to copy, but you demons is very difficult. I've been trying to copy Kaido's ability, but so far it has not been successful. Paramesha is even more difficult, and there has never been a successful example. Let's say Logia. So far I don't have any clues. Common's zone is enough. Dulin said, what I need is not that you reproduce the top devil fruit, but a sufficient quantity. The zone devil fruit copied by Vegapunk is not something that Caesar can touch. He even succeeded in copying Kaido's ability, although he thought it was a failure because of the color problem, but in fact it was completely successful. All phantom beast species can be successfully reproduced, so the zone of common is of course easy to catch. That would be a true replica of the original zone devil fruit without any side effects. These 207 man-made devil fruits are of course for the Sun Knights. In the future, these Sun Knights will be the backbone of their own rule of the world, and it is of course very important to improve their strength. With the help of Vegapunk, you can have a real army of beasts. Coupled with flames and advanced knights holding hockey, this will be a powerful army whose average strength far exceeds that of the Titans. I see. Vegapunk heaved a sigh of relief, but he still didn't ask him to study anything from the Arabian Nights, just reproducing the words of Zone Devil Fruit is not difficult at all. After that, I will build a fully automatic man-made devil fruit factory, which should be able to mass-produce Zone Devil Fruit. It's impossible to spend all your energy on boring artificial devil fruit, right? My dream is an era in which energy is so abundant that everyone can enjoy it to the fullest. How can there be too much time wasted on this kind of thing? Great. Dulin smiled and clapped his hands. This is exactly what I want. Fram will fully cooperate with you. Please rest assured, God. Fram said solemnly, I will definitely do my best. That's all right. Vegapunk chuckled. Other experimental equipment and materials are okay. The essential materials for man-made devil fruit are the bloodline factors of Zone Demon Fruit power. I need a few Zone Demon Fruit powers as blood factor suppliers. It's a replica anyway, so it's not as unique as the genuine devil fruit. It is entirely possible to use the same zone ability user as a template to create an army. No problem. Dulin didn't find it difficult. It's not like his subordinates don't have zone's abilities. Bell in Alabasta, and Wolf, the big pirate based on Ya Island at this time, are zone's ability shields. Bell is even a flying falcon. Even if you dislike the monotony of the two abilities, it is not difficult to hunt other zone devil fruit from the sea. And, at this time, wouldn't Kurozumi, who was made into a puppet and thrown at Wanokuni, have 3 masters and servants also come in handy? Kurozumi Orochi is a phantom beast that Vegapunk can copy. Although the other 2 guys are Paramesha, Vegapunk can't reproduce it for the time being, but after he invents green blood, he can also replicate it. Go as fast as you can, Vegapunk. Dulin said casually, there is still a lot of research you need to do. For example, I got a lot of books about ancient technology from Ohara, and I need the most excellent scientists to help me practice them. Vegapunk's eyes widened instantly, almost flying out of the eye sockets. Ancient technology. He vaguely knew that during those blank 100 years, there existed a fad country in this world whose civilization and technology had developed to an astounding level. Is the technology left over from that country? I understand God. Vegapunk's eyes were almost burning with flames, and he immediately looked at Fram. Mr. Fram, let's start to act. Frame looked at Dulin. Dulin nodded slightly towards him. So Frame left with Vegapunk. Dulin leaned lazily on the throne. As the world's #1 great scientist, Vegapunk's role is beyond doubt. Man-made devil fruit is still basic, energy, weapons, artificial people, and many, many interesting researches. Vegapunk followed Fram and left the temple. He looked at the back of the man in front of him full of impatience. Mr. Fram, where do we start? I'll build you a laboratory first. Frame didn't look back. As for the location, it's next to the dock, there's still an open space there. I can design the drawings myself. Vegapunk immediately said, I'll make a list of the equipment I need to start researching in the shortest possible time. Ancient technology. Can't wait. Okay. Then let's go to the artisans on the island right now. Fram also has a swift and resolute personality, and said directly, strive to start work today. Are there any excellent craftsmen on the island? Vegapunk was afraid of any elements that might slow down the construction period. There are quite a few skilled craftsmen, but if I have to say the most excellent, there should be 3 guys. Frame took Vegapunk to somewhere on the edge of the island. A station was built here. Ask for flowers. Ask for a monthly ticket. Ask for an evaluation ticket. Qinghai. How is it possible? Who else in the world besides us can provide him with sufficient research resources? Vegapunk, why are you willing to leave? Frame said, the next job for the 3 of you is to assist this Dr. Vegapunk in building his laboratory. Inside the unopened station, Vegapunk saw 3 people be *********** G on a locomotive. At the rear of the station, a cloud track laying on the Bye-Bye Sea goes straight to Tongtian. Work on the sea train is temporarily suspended. Damn it, it's this time. Sengoku hasn't woken up yet, and Kuzan and the others are recovering very slowly. You say. Find. Even if you search every corner of the sea, you must find him. Are you kidding me? Did that guy abscond? This is the track of the sea train. Katie Flam's eyes widened. Vegapunk. But now the fact is that he has completely disappeared. Yes, the station. The disappearance of Vegapunk finally caught the attention of the government. It's just not officially put into operation yet. Chapter 140 Robin's Day. Robin was woken up by the sound of his mother getting up. She opened her eyes and sat up, looking at her mother who had already got dressed and got out of bed. The mother turned around and said apologetically, "Mom is going to work, did you wake you up?" "I'm so sorry, Robin." "No." Robin shook her head vigorously, and she blinked his big green eyes lightly. "It's still early, go to sleep for a while." The mother bent down with a smile, and kissed her daughter gently on the forehead. "Later, the mother will wake you up for breakfast." Robin nodded emphatically. She lay back on the bed happily, and her mother pulled up the quilt to cover her up. In the past few months, she has enjoyed the meticulous care of her mother. It seemed that in order to repay all the love owed since the 6-year absence, her mother almost held her in her mouth for fear of melting, and held her in her arms for fear of falling. This is the first time for Robin to feel the care of her relatives, and it still comes from her mother, which makes her very happy. Especially when falling asleep in the arms of his mother every night, Robin can feel unprecedented happiness. Mom would tell her many novel and interesting things in the sea, which Robin had never heard of when he was reading. This is the happiest moment of Robin's day. However, such happiness is not something that can be felt every night. Sometimes Mom goes to sleep serving God. Robin didn't understand why God, who was already a teenager, needed someone to serve him before he could fall asleep. Does God also want to hear stories told to him before going to sleep? However, since it is the word of God, it should be no problem. It was God who saved them and preserved so much of Ohara's legacy. If you are a god, no matter what you do, you should take it for granted, right? Fortunately, the number of times my mother goes to serve God at night is gradually decreasing. When Robin curiously asked why her mother was like this, her mother said it a little freely. The strange food may feel very fresh when you try it for the first time, but after trying it a few times, you will still prefer the delicious food. Robin didn't really understand, but she is very happy, and her mother spends more and more time with her. While Mom went to work, Robin happily fell asleep again. "Robin, get up." She was woken up by her mother not long after. It's just that Robin noticed that his mother's face was a little weirdly flushed, and her hair was a little messy. But she didn't care, because the next thing was a hearty breakfast with her mother. This is something that Robin is very happy about. When she was at Ohara before, she had never eaten such a rich and delicious food. After breakfast, my mother started working again. Her current position is a maid in the temple, and her daily work is to serve the gods and keep the temple clean. Robin was originally one of the maid sisters, but she was still too young, and the sisters didn't let her do any work, they just let her play happily. Robin was so happy that she had enough time to explore the island. She is very curious about this island above the clouds. So after having breakfast, Robin walked down the huge vines and came to the town. The residents living in this town all have little wings behind them, and Robin is very curious about them. She felt like she was on a great adventure like the one in her mother's bedtime stories. Is Miss Robin here? The residents in the town are very enthusiastic about her, because everyone knows that she is God's maid and a person who serves God. Everyone in the town respects God very much, and everyone is a member of the Illuminati, and they must pray to God before eating and going to bed every day. Robin often saw them gather together and pray out loud. All are proudly expressing their worship of God. That's amazing, God. Whenever he saw this scene, Robin unconsciously puffed up his small chest. Because she is also a servant of God, who will serve God in the future. It is different from everyone in the town, who can really touch the platform where God dedicated himself. Just like Mom, Robin felt a little proud. Robin also spent the morning exploring around town today. She also made several friends of similar age. Everyone adores her for who she is. Robin has never had any friends, and he feels a little shy about everyone's pursuit. After playing until about noon, Robin decided to go back. When returning to the huge vine, passing by a construction site, a building has already been erected. Robin sees a guy with blue hair yelling, "Dr. Vegapunk is really worthy of designing such a building." Is he pervert? Seeing the man jumping around wearing only a pair of swimming trunks, Robin thought so, and couldn't help but quicken his pace back. Back at the temple, Mom was already waiting for her to have lunch. "Robin, come on, today is lunch made by Mom herself." Mom looks very happy. Robin is also very happy. 0. Asking for flowers. Although Mom's cooking is not the best, it is Robin's favorite. Because it's Mom's cooking. After lunch, it's time to study. Robin has not forgotten the last words of Dr. Clover. She will inherit the will of the Ohara scholars and become the one who can explore the 100-year-old history that is clearly blank. She went to the library of the temple. All the books God brought back from Ohara, as well as the books he collected before, are all stored here. Robin will come every afternoon to study and undertake some work of organizing the library. Only today, Robin saw an unexpected person here. God. Seeing the boy standing under a bookshelf flipping through books, Robin hurriedly bowed to say hello. Occasionally, when I'm bored, I want to walk around and have a look around. It turns out that there are already so many books here. God closed the book in his hand and turned around. "Robin, will you come every day?" 0. Yes. Robin nodded heavily. I want to inherit Ohara's will and become the one who uncovers the blank history of 100 years. Quite energetic. God put down the book in his hand, came over and patted Robin's head lightly, then work hard to grow into the adult you dreamed of. Yes. Robin is very happy. Then, grow up well. Quote. Does it help God? Mom smiled happily. This is an amazing dream, Robin. Before going to bed, Robin solemnly said to his mother, Mom, I want to be someone who can help God. In the dream, she dreamed of something, and then, a smile slowly bloomed on her immature face. While taking a bath with his mother, Robin shared with his mother today's interesting things, what interesting things he encountered in the town, and what interesting scenery he saw. So today, Robin not only spent the whole afternoon in the library, but even came here again after dinner, and didn't go back until his mother came to find her. Shendu praised her dream, so it needs to be more oily. A woman with a cold personality, she only shows her playful side in front of her daughter. Robin's day, Jen. Then the routine is bath time with mom. If it is Robin, maybe he can join the Knights of God, but if you want to do this, you have to eat well, sleep well, and exercise well every day. Robin nodded emphatically. Then, the little girl fell asleep peacefully amidst the sound of her mother's story. Mom. God. Mom just smiled as she shared. God praised her.